Welcome to your WWE Podcast Week in Review. Tonight, back by popular demand, the casual wrestling fan joins me to discuss everything going on in WWE as we look ahead to Crown Jewel and beyond. This is an episode you're not going to want to miss. You definitely clicked on the right play button. So let's get everything going right after this.
On this quiet street, on this unassuming block, this man and this woman will undergo a change.
I'm done. This is ridiculous. I'm shredding.
Body swap. Nobody expected it. Nobody believed it.
What is going on around here?
Body swap.
I'd rather cut the baby in half than to see you have it.
Can we get this meeting started?
Between science and superstition. Body swap. Ice Beer Milk presents Ella Jordan, Jimmy Custis, Gunnar Willis, Katie Geralt, and Erica Manny in a film directed by Tim Morton.
Let's stop this serious talk. Let's just say we... do you see what my eyebrows are doing?
Be prepared to body swap.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me. Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
Alrighty, welcome to the WWE Podcast. Wow, huge show tonight. I mean that in a multitude of ways, because not only is it long in terms of number of minutes, but also we've got the casual wrestling fan back by popular demand to deliver his knowledge and insight to the product that's going on right now. Look ahead to Crown Jewel. We kind of bounce around, but we do our best, I got to say, to stay on track, which is not always easy on this show, as many of you know. We just, with every host that I have, every co-host, we just go off on tangents, but I think it's productive tangents, and they're relevant tangents, even if they are historical story or historical references to other things that have happened in the past. We do try to bring it back to relevancy, or as Roman Reigns would put it, we bring it back to the island of relevancy. So you guys are going to enjoy this one. Maybe the longest show that we've done ever, at least top 3 or top 5 with the casual wrestling fan on board here. We'll get to him in just a minute. But first, thank you so much for joining. If this is your first time here, I'd invite you to go ad-free. If you don't like the ads, easy to get rid of them. Go to the Patreon page, or just click on the ad-free button on Apple Podcasts, or just tell a friend about us. Pretty simple, right? So you can follow us on Twitter at wrestling_audio, email us at realwwpodcast@gmail.com, or call us and leave a voicemail, which you can do for our mailbag show that we do every Wednesday. That is all about the listeners and their comments, whether it's emailed or voicemail, which the voicemail number is 518-952-0247. That's the voicemail number. So feel free, if you're a new listener, that's how you can call in. There's nobody that picks up. You just drop a voicemail in, and it'll be put on the Wednesday show. So, guys, let's get into it. WWE, all of the events that happened this week and more right now with Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan. Enjoy. I'll be back tomorrow night with Anthony DeMarco doing another What If. Until then, I'll talk to you next time. All right, everybody, welcome to your Week in Review, and back by popular demand. Everyone's been asking me, hey, where's the Casual Wrestling Fan? Is he coming back? I haven't heard him on the mailbag lately. You should bring him on as a co-host. Guys, I've heard you loud and clear, and he is back tonight to talk about this week in WWE. The man's got a busy schedule. He's not just a Casual Wrestling Fan, but of course, we've all got life's responsibilities, so I want to welcome him back to the Week in Review, back to the WWE Podcast. My friend, it's a great honor to have you here, and I can't wait to talk some wrestling.
Yes, sir. Everybody out there that's listening, is Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan here, and we're going to have fun tonight. Are you ready, man?
I'm ready, and I got to say, people loved the Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan takeover show that you guys did. It was very highly thought of, I got to say. People loved it. I would absolutely, anytime you want to do that, would allow it. And even if it is for the kind of underhanded motivation of taking over the show, I'll allow it. So,
well, hey, maybe we can get that scheduled in a couple of weeks. And it was fun for us, Miss Casual Wrestling Fan. Had a great time doing it, and we would love to come back and do it again.
Absolutely. So let's jump into it, buddy. Let's jump into WWE. There's a lot happening right now with Crown Jewel on a Thursday. I still can't wrap my head around that. On a Thursday in Saudi Arabia, just under 2 weeks away, main evented by Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. We've got Seth Rollins versus Edge, presumably now inside Hell in a Cell. We'll talk about that, but let me actually toss it to you because you're good at taking things over. Let me ask you, what is the top story coming out of wrestling in your mind over the last week or so? What is the first thing you're like, man, I got to talk about this?
Oh, well, if we're going to be honest, everybody has to acknowledge Roman. Everybody has to acknowledge Roman Reigns. Obviously, I'm a big Roman Reigns guy. He's doing unbelievable work. You know, the Brock Lesnar thing is great. You know, everybody wants to see Brock, even though he's got the man bun, which doesn't work for everybody. But hey, but Roman is on another level. This Paul Heyman stuff that they're kind of doing, the only thing about that, I like it, but I want WWE to realize if they have Roman turn on Paul, they have a good chance to turn the Roman face. The crowd would not boo Roman beating up Paul. I know I would, and most fans would. So that's the only thing I could really kind of point out to be like, you know, let's not do that, because I like Paul with Roman. But I think Roman's doing incredible work. I like the angle. You know, I love Seth Rollins. He's a great talent. You know, but, you know, I'm not that big on Edge, and I don't even understand, you know, what's the point of the match. I mean, I love the Hell in a Cell, you know, the concept, even though we just had the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, but I love that they're doing that. I just hope and pray that they let Rollins go over. I don't want to see Edge go over in this match. So I'm going to toss it to you. You tell me what you think.
Well, okay. The Roman Reigns stuff, I can't really add a whole lot to that other than saying, as I've been saying for like 15 months now, that Roman Reigns is doing the best work of his career. They have very rarely, WWE that is, very rarely, if ever, stumbled over the last 15 months in their storyline, which is impossible to do. He's going on 403, 404 days as Universal Champion. Only Brock Lesnar has superseded him with that championship. So I think that they will eventually probably break that. I'm not spoiling the outcome, of course, of Crown Jewel, but that's for the prediction show next week. So I think they are doing excellent work. Roman, the Usos, Paul Heyman. Now, you mentioned Paul Heyman as the guy that, you know, we don't know where his loyalties lie. Is he truly trying to undermine Roman Reigns when he's secretly working with Brock Lesnar behind the scenes? Is this some kind of master plan by Paul Heyman? Honestly, whatever the outcome is, I don't want to see Paul Heyman in a match, right? Like, you can't have that. So it shouldn't be centered necessarily around Paul, because Paul can only take things so far as he's not a competitor. So I'm cool with whatever they want to do. And you're starting to hear some positive reactions, especially this past week in San Jose, of people starting to just organically start to cheer for Roman Reigns, where they were booing him pretty good over the last few months. So perhaps it maybe is time. There's an argument to be made there. If Roman is going to turn face, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar may be a great combo to allow that to happen. But I don't think they'll go there, because you have to get Roman, I think, through WrestleMania this year and then maybe decide to do it, because there's still rumors of The Rock hanging out there, of Rock and Roman at this year's WrestleMania, Roman and Drew McIntyre hanging out there. So I think there's still some life left in his heel run. I don't think we've fully seen it through yet. I'm not ready for it to end, but I can certainly see when they want to pull the trigger, he will be a massive babyface, the babyface that Vince McMahon envisioned and tried to force feed the fans for 6 years when he was the intolerable babyface in my mind, that he'll get the guy that he always wanted once they do pull the trigger. But I think we've got a good 6 months or so before we get there. As far as Edge and Rollins, you're not an Edge guy. I love Edge. I think that I wouldn't mind Edge going over as a nostalgia. Like a part of my brain is like, yeah, I want to see the old Edge take down Rollins. I'm a big fan of Adam Copeland. I just agree with you. My heart and my brain are not on the same page because Rollins should be the guy to go over, even though as a guy rooting for Edge, I want to see him go over. So do I go with my heart or my head on that? Ultimately Rollins should be, since he is still and does have a lot more left in his career than does Edge. So Rollins should be logically the one to go over there. But I will say one last thing on this, that Rollins and Edge inside Hell in a Cell, yes, we just went through the pay-per-view, but that just shows you how effective this match stipulation can be when it's not built into the schedule, when it's actually a match that's deserving of the cell and not just whatever happens to be going on at that time. Oh, the calendar flipped. It's time for Hell in a Cell. So I like the fact that this is a match deserving of the cell.
And I totally agree. It's nice when you actually have the storyline that matches the match that is put in front of the fans. So I totally agree with that fact. And Roman Reigns and the Bloodline is... I totally agree that I don't want to see him face at all. I love heel Roman. I love underhanded Roman. I love bringing Jimmy as the henchman. I love it. It's a great aspect. And Roman Reigns, his apparel, his shirts, which I bought his shirt at Raw, but they're flying off like hotcakes. You have to love anything he has. Acknowledge me. People love it. Head of the table. People love it. Bloodline. People love it. He is on fire as a heel. And it is getting to the point where the fans are organically cheering him. I cheer him,
Mm-hmm.
But I know this is totally off topic, so I hope.
That's what we do here, so go ahead.
Topic. I watched a Brian Pillman biography today, and stuff with the Hollywood Blondes led me to think about a Today situation. The Bloodline is great, and the Hurt Business was dissolved as a group that everybody wanted to see continue. And now they kind of brought them back together. But, Cedric and Shelton just lost to the New Day right after Goldberg slaughtered them. So it shows how dominant they look currently. We all wondered the reason why the Hurt Business was dissolved. And what I'm going to say is speculation. But my speculation would be it was dissolved for Roman Reigns. Because if you look at the two groups, they're parallel to each other. You got Bobby, the champ. You got Sheldon and Cedric, the tag team champions. You got MVP, the manager. Same thing on the Bloodline. You got Roman, the champ. Usos, tag team. Paul, the manager. They have parallel gimmicks. And obviously WWE wants to put it on the bigger star. Why not? The Hurt Business suffered because of that. Bobby Lashley had to deal with Bobby's Lashley's ladies for several weeks to cool him down while Roman stayed hot, and then they picked him back up. And that's just speculation, and I'll let you comment on what you think, but that's my speculation as why did they dissolve the Hurt Business.
That very well could be, even though they're on separate brands. Maybe they wanted that distinction of Roman Reigns with that type of structure around him not to be duplicated on Monday Night Raw. That's very possible, and I didn't even consider that as a possibility. But as I've said in the past, when you're not sure what WWE is doing, just always use the rule of thumb. Your compass points to all roads lead to Roman Reigns. So whenever you're confused about something, and this time it's for a good reason, that he's in the best role of his career, not the babyface he was for so many years. So you very well could be right. You very well could be on the right path as to why. My assumption was, and I'm not discrediting yours, it's absolutely possible in part. I don't know if it's the sole reason, but I think another contributing factor is they wanted Bobby Lashley to look as strong as humanly possible. And how they could do that is by having him retain the championship month after month without the help of Cedric and Shelton. Now, of course, you had MVP save him a couple of times, but you have Roman Reigns with the Usos saving him a couple of times, especially during the Kevin Owens program that lasted a few months. There were instances where Roman did need a little assistance. So my estimation is that they just wanted Bobby to be solo. They didn't want distractions, that they just wanted him to look as strong of a monster heel as possible and not being that the heel that needs help all the time. That's my assumption, but I don't think it's one single factor. I think yours, maybe mine, and maybe a third or fourth or fifth reason could be why they dissolved the Hurt Business many months ago. Really a decision that most of the fans, everybody that I've talked to, have been like, why? Right? When it happened, they're just puzzled. Why did they do this? And then they just have Cedric and Shelton after that, just losing to, I remember the Viking Raiders, or losing to whoever was on Raw, maybe even not on the Hulu version, basically invisible on Raw after that with no purpose. So I felt bad for them. But yeah, I think that is one of the reasons. That could be many. And
that's which I tie back to the Hollywood Blondes, and sometimes history repeats itself. They was very hot when they cut the team. Same thing with the Hurt Business. They were very hot, and they cut the team. Bobby goes to Hell in a Cell with Lashley's ladies. He had a good match with Drew, but after that, we got Lashley's ladies. Nobody likes it, and I guess they were trying to get heat on him. But I don't feel that Bobby was looking dominant. They did cook him back up right after the fact to try to get him back hot, but that was after Roman had already took off with his iteration of the bloodline going. And I really feel like WWE said, a lot of fans watch both shows. We can't have parallel. Her Business came first, and they was hot, and they was getting merch out. But they said, hey, the greater good is for it to go to Roman. And I agree, it could be multiple reasons, but it's just, if your team is really hot and is gaining steam, why would WWE cut funding, but them seeing a bigger star who can take it to the next level? And I think that's what they did. They leveled up with Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
which isn't a
no, it is, and I'm with you. They could have looked at this and said, hey guys, and I know that this group is overachieving, right? Like they're selling more merch than we imagined. This group is getting much more attention and a bigger reaction than we ever imagined, which I do believe to be true. I don't ever think that they believed the Hurt Business was going to be anything more than a mid-card act, and it grew bigger than they thought it would. Just like you made the analogy with the Hollywood Blondes with Steve Austin and Brian Pillman in WCW, and which Austin believes. I remember watching some of that, and maybe not that specific documentary, where he said that that's why they felt they broke them up, is because they got too hot, and that wasn't part of the plan. But it's kind of backwards thinking that why would you cut something that is overachieving? It's because maybe you in your mind are thinking, well, this isn't going to last. I've got a bigger picture. And that leads us back to what your analysis is. But let me ask you this. What is, as we bring it back to current day, what is the reason? Maybe I've missed it. What the heck is the reason why WWE has brought back the Hurt Business? Outside of just being, I guess, sacrificial lambs to Goldberg to make him look strong. Did we ever get a reason, like why Shelton and Cedric decided to go back to Bobby after Bobby just beat the hell out of him? Was there ever a story there of an explanation, or did they just not even bother? Maybe I missed it.
You didn't miss it. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a casual wrestling fan, quote unquote. So you don't have to always explain everything to me. And sometimes, as the old saying goes, what's understood doesn't have to be said. Cedric nodded, and I'm not going to lie, when they came out, I thought they was turning on Bobby again, coming out, act like they was going to help him and then turn. That's what I was thinking, but It didn't happen. They didn't explain it. And I think they are back for sacrificial lambs. And after Goldberg destroyed them, New Day came out and destroyed them pretty quickly in the match. I mean, they're still in their jobber roles. They're not leveling up. I don't know. We need MVP for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That's all I have. I don't.
Well, no, I hear you. I mean, I do miss MVP. God, I miss MVP. He's exactly what his name says he has been over the last year, especially for Bobby Lashley. He has been immeasurably important, not even to just Bobby in the group, but to Raw as a whole. That's how great MVP has been, and has, I think, overachieved his first run in WWE by a long margin. So credit to MVP. I'm looking forward to him getting back. It's interesting, though, to hear Bobby Lashley on the mic on his own without any crutch, just like it is with Brock Lesnar with no Paul Heyman, to hear what they have to say, or if they are as bad as some people perceive that they are, which I don't think they are. They're just used to not having to carry that load. But let's talk about Goldberg and Bobby Lashley, if we dare. And maybe Goldberg's a little higher on your list of stars, or maybe not, in terms of this match. Like, do you want to see Bobby and Goldberg at Crown Jewel? How do you feel about the build to this match, with Goldberg saying essentially he's going to kill Bobby Lashley? What do you feel about this whole thing coming up in just a week and a half?
All right, so I'm gonna try to get to all of those questions in one time. First, I was at Raw on Monday, which was incredible. Great time. Now, I'm going to be totally honest to everybody listening. Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan was a true mark on Monday. So when Goldberg came out, I was yelling Goldberg. I had never seen Goldberg live. I took it. I'm yelling Goldberg. And as you heard, he got a great reception. But speaking of that reception, so while he's doing his promo, Goldberg is not getting as much love as it appears on TV. He has a lot of people who are not happy, which, I'm a Bobby Lashley fan, so I'm cheering for Bobby too. But, hey, I'm marking out for both. Now, I noticed people in our section, and I don't know if you can really hear it, but there was quite a bit of people yelling Old Bird. like honestly, like, we knew several people that, oh, Berg, and like I started laughing because it was hilarious. So Goldberg is not as loved as WWE makes it appear to be. I hope once again, which I don't think it's gonna happen, but I hope they put Bobby over. I would hope, I would pray that WWE would not sacrifice Bobby and let him fall that far from grace. Goldberg is nostalgic for some people. You know what I mean? I feel like all wrestlers should, at a certain time should end their career. That's like The Undertaker. He went on and ended it. And I still want one more match. I'm not going to lie. I don't care if he came back at 70. Rest in peace. But Goldberg is past that. As far as the angle goes, I know a lot of people are giving Goldberg flack about the death and the kill. I'm not a fan like that. I don't feel like that's wrong to say. I guess you could say I'm more okay with edgier content. I don't know if that's edgy, but I guess for professional wrestling standards, that is to say kill or death. And the only problem I do have with it would suck if Bobby actually did die in the match. If Lord forbid something like that would happen and you said that, that obviously is horrible. But as far as going too far, I don't think that crosses that line. Once again, going back to the Brian Pillman biography, everybody remembers him at the house with the pistol.
Yep.
At that time, people said that went way too far. But did it? If we're being honest, he was a loose cannon. That was his gimmick. And, my wife, she watched it with me today, and it reminded her what it was. And on her face was total shock. And I was like, is that too far? But she's like, yes, that's way too far. They have a gun. He's pointing a gun at him. But can everybody take a second right now to think? She was like, yeah, he's crazy. He achieved what he wanted to achieve. And you thought he was crazy, but He's in his home, and somebody broke in his home, and he's defending his family, and he doesn't have a leg to fight on. But we look at him like he's crazy. Brian Pillman, Lord have mercy, great gimmick. I don't think that went too far, though. We see stuff in movies all the time. You know, now if he'd have pulled the trigger or something, I understand. But I don't think that crossed the line, and I don't think it's wrong to say you're going to kill somebody, but I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting analogy, and the Brian Pillman thing, that was what, back in '96 that whole thing went down. I think it was '96. Maybe it was before that. But that whole deal again, we have to. Well, I agree. Like from a logical perspective, with Brian Pillman with a gun, he's got a gun. Yeah, he's defending his home. I mean, that's kind of your right to bear arms and defend your property. I mean, that's that shouldn't be controversial, but on WWE TV at the time, it was. I mean, I can imagine the climate we're in today, it'd be probably even more controversial. WWE would have, protests. It would be bad. But back then, you're right. And you know what? He did achieve what he wanted to achieve. And he also made it a moment that we are still talking about 25 years later. That's how good of a moment it was, even if it was deemed as controversial. Now, with Goldberg, bringing it back to the present, I think this, him talking about Bobby and wanting to kill Bobby, and if he ends up killing Bobby, he's a lucky man or something to that effect. I'm not offended by it. Certainly not. I don't think it was too far. I just think it's misplaced. Why? Because you can't deliver on that. And I would have actually let it pass if it was just something he mentioned quickly a couple of weeks ago and it was done and gone. But he's reiterated this many times. It's almost like the focal point of his promos. And the problem is you can't deliver on that. Like, that's why you don't go there, is not just because it's crossing a line that some people may perceive, but more importantly, it's something that and the fans know you aren't going to deliver on, and there's a 1,000% chance you're not going to, outside of, as you said, just an absolute tragedy in the ring, which we all hope doesn't happen. But it's not going to happen in all likelihood. So it's just something that I know it's a metaphor. People are going to say, oh, he's just using a metaphor. But he's continuing to harp on it. And he's continuing to say he wants to kill him. And furthermore, his son attacked him from behind. I don't blame Bobby. I would have done the same thing. If he's that much of an idiot to get in the ring with a guy 6 times his size and 10 times his strength, that's on him. What's he supposed to do? How does he know he doesn't have a foreign object to even the odds? Like, this is so backwards to me. Like the logic of Goldberg being mad at Bobby for attacking his son. Well, why are we not talking about the fact that your son attacked him from behind? Your son's the fool, not Bobby. So I'll leave it there.
And I totally agree. We're not talking about New Jack. Rest in peace, New Jack. But we're not talking about New Jack. We know he's not going to die.
That's true. Yeah.
But nevertheless, I do hope they put Bobby over. And
agreed.
Not to Goldberg, but I don't care what my son does to you. If you took my son out, we got a problem.
I hear you. No, I get it. And I'm a father as well. I understand that logic, but I also would be like, hey, at least acknowledging the fact that, look, my son shouldn't have done what he did attacking you from behind, but you still put your hands on my son. They're just totally ignoring that. I understand what you mean, and as a father and everybody out there who is parents can absolutely relate. Even if your son or daughter are in the wrong, you still want to protect them. It's just your instinct as a parent. I get it now, and as a parent now I get that. But in storyline, how are we ignoring this part? I mean, it's not like Bobby pulled him out of the crowd with no provocation and just beat the heck out of him. He was in the right to defend himself. So good on Bobby for doing that. I don't blame him, but I understand the parental part of it too. So, but you're right. Ultimately, I hope Bobby goes over and we just can wipe Goldberg out of WWE right now. Although I don't think that's going to happen based on the fact I've heard he's got like another year or two of X amount of matches. So we may want to sit in for the long haul.
Yeah, he's going to eventually win a match. Just hopefully it's not against Bobby.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. And I also, one thing I'll say too on this, and then if you have anything else on this, certainly let me know. Your reaction to Goldberg in person in the arena, I at first I'm like, wait, what? But I get it. Why do I get it? Because you're a wrestling fan. Even as a casual one, you still are. And I think that being in person for a legend, whether you love Goldberg or hate him, he's a wrestling legend. He is a guy that in WCW was one of the hottest things that they had during the late 90s. If you're in person to see that, you know that this is probably the last time you're going to see that. Like, in all likelihood, you're going to be there. And it feels special because of Goldberg and what he has meant to the wrestling industry, especially during his late 90s run. So I understand that. And it is addictive to want to say Goldberg and participate, and there's some energy there. So I get that as a fan. So I don't blame you. You know what? As much as I'd say I would have never cheered him, I don't know. I really don't know, because as much as I want to see him lose, the entrance can be fun.
That's the best part. That's
the
best part. I cheered I think I cheered everybody but Becky Lynch. She's the only, and oh God, the Nashville crowd loved Becky Lynch. Oh my goodness! Like, I'm literally the only person booing. Oh Lord!
Well, that's a good transition. Explain why, as we get to Becky Lynch's kind of convoluted storyline right now with Big Time Bex. So what's up with Becky, with you?
Big Time Bex. I told Miss Casual Wrestling Fan, I said, when I go on the show today, I'm going to bury Becky. Like, I'm going in there to bury her, but I'm not going to bury her. But
all right. Well, the shovel's right there if you want it. I mean, it's up to you.
Oh, Lord. But honestly, I didn't like the SummerSlam. That totally turned me off of Becky Lynch. I don't like her attitude. I don't like... She asked to be a heel, supposedly. That's the rumor. I don't know if it's true or false. But if she asked to be a heel, she's doing a horrible job of getting heat. I mean, honestly, the stuff she says, at least to me, it comes off cool heelish. Like, some of the stuff she said could even be borderline baby face. I mean, you're a little bit more cockier. You call yourself Big Time Bex. But what are you really doing to get heat? She doesn't even try to get cheap heat. She won't even destroy a city to get cheap heat. I don't know what the end game for her is. I'm just not a fan of her. Yeah, she's funny. Yeah, she came back. And she came back face. But if she is trying to portray a heel, or if that's the end game for her, I'm going to boo her. I'm going to give her what she should get if that's really what she wants to be. So I'm not really a Becky Lynch fan. I see her as a coward, underhanded. That's just me personally. I'm not a big Snake heel fan. I'm not a big Randy Orton heel fan at all. She just doesn't do it for me right now. Miss Casual Wrestling Fan loves her. That's her girl. Everybody loves her. Cheers. So, but not Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan.
Oh, so the missus disagrees with you on this. You guys are at odds.
Oh, big time. She's yelling louder, trying to yell louder than me because I'm booing. Yeah, she loves Becky. She defends her to the max. That's her girl.
Stay right there. The WWE podcast will return after this quick break.
On this quiet street, on this unassuming block, this man and this woman will undergo a change.
I'm done. This is ridiculous. I'm shredding.
Body swap. Nobody expected it. Nobody believed it.
What is going on around here?
Body swap.
I'd rather cut the baby in half than to see you have it.
Can we get this meeting started?
Between science and superstition. Body swap. Ice Beer Milk presents Ella Jordan, Jimmy Custis, Gunnar Willis, Katie Geralt, and Erica Manny in a film directed by Tim Morton.
Let's stop this serious talk. Let's just say we... do you see what my eyebrows are doing?
Be prepared to body swap.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
That's great. Well, I really haven't thought too much about Becky's character until you just brought up the fact that while they positioned her as a heel, I would say that she's a heel, but the biggest problem you just pointed out is that she's trying to be a cool heel. When you try to be a cool heel, are you really a heel? Because that's kind of an oxymoron. You shouldn't be cool as a heel. You should want to get the crowd to boo you, make them angry, make them want to see somebody beat you up, and pay money to see that happen. And with Becky, she does this waffling back and forth now where, yeah, she's wearing sunglasses that we're supposed to find obnoxious. She's wearing like mink coats or some outfit that screams, I'm big time, right? Like, but she even on her promos says, you know, San Jose, the man has come around. Like, well, that's not running down a city, as you said. That's the cheap Mick Foley pop. That's not something that you do to acknowledge the city and people go, you know, cheer because, oh, we're from here. Yay, she said our city. It's the opposite of what you do if you're trying to get heat. And the only heat thing she's done outside of call herself big time Bex, and we're all supposed to now dislike her because she's got a big ego. I think that's the very elementary boiled down logic is that, okay, we're not supposed to like her because she's got a big ego and a big head now. But the only thing she's done, I would say, that has been any kind of heelish actions has been when Bianca Belair challenged her immediately following SummerSlam a couple of times for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and she just brushed it off like, nah, no, like, and she had a bit of a cowardice to her. That's about it. And since that time, I think she was starting to get a little bit of momentum as a heel. And now she's on commentary being entertaining. She's, you know, sitting there at the table and, you know, cracking jokes. And, you know, she hasn't done anything. In WWE, why they're not picking a lane with her, it can't be intentional. You don't want to toe the line. You got to pick a lane and stick to it, because sooner than later, if you just kind of ride the middle lane and you're straddling that double line, what's going to happen is fans are going to become apathetic. They're going to eventually, it's going to take a while, but eventually fans are going to say, hey, like, I don't know what to do here, right? And then you'll have dueling chants, but you're not realizing the maximum success of Becky Lynch as a heel or a babyface if you straddle the line. You need to pick a lane. And I don't like, oh, well, shades of gray. I think that's nonsense. I'm not a shades of gray person in pro wrestling. I understand in real life there is, but in pro wrestling, it shouldn't be hard to think about. It really should just be good versus evil. I know that sounds super boiled down, but that's what it is. So I'm with you on Becky. I'm a fan of hers. I guess I'm leaning more with the misses on this, but I want them to pick a freaking lane, figure out what she is, and go. That's what I say.
I totally agree, because if we're being honest, once again, casual band here, I don't mind shades of gray in my lower tier characters, but my top, you know, your top card superstars, I need them to be heel or face. I don't need the in between. I don't need the mix. One or the other, and I don't think at all that she's trying to get heat. I mean,
yeah.
So I'm looking at her. I'm looking at her as a person. Like, I'm going past character here. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm looking at her as a person. I don't think she personally wants to be hated. I mean, even her husband. I mean, Seth Rollins. Lord have mercy. I love him. You know, he's great. But Becky Lynch, oh Lord, it gives me a short circuit, because I don't think she's trying. I don't think she's trying to get heat. I don't think that's her point. Maybe she's changing her mind and wants to, like I said, be a cool heel, kind of nice, kind of mean. Everybody love you. But if her intention was to get heat, she totally failed. and she's not as good as everybody thinks she is if she's attempting to get heat currently.
Yeah, agreed. If this is an actual conscious decision to try to get her heat, really bad. This is a really bad job to get true heel heat. Yeah, I'm with you. This can't be a actual effort to get her heat. I would love to talk to the creative individual, maybe Vince, whoever's in charge of this story, the lead writer, whatever, and sit and say, hey, like, is this your goal? Are you actually trying to get her heat, or is this purposefully ambiguous? Are you purposefully trying to let's see what the fans do? I mean, the fans were ready to absolutely embrace her at SummerSlam, and I've said this many times, but I just still don't understand it. Again, especially now that she's a cool heel. If you're going to go that road, if you're going to turn her heel, why not let the fans at least love her, embrace her, spend millions of dollars in merch for the first 3 months, get as much as you can out of it, and then turn her heel around Survivor Series or maybe even later in the year? Why they just went right to it and then not even follow through and kind of toe the line? It's almost the worst possible scenario. I mean, Becky Lynch turning heel doesn't have a great track record. Look what happened to Charlotte at SummerSlam like 3-4 years ago. Turned it into the biggest name in the company. Inadvertently. And now they're doing kind of the same thing, but in a weirder way, where Becky's already a made woman now, and she's just this heel that, well, you're thinking, why am I supposed to dislike her? Oh, because she's got a big ego. Well, everyone does. Like, listen to everyone's promos. Everyone's got a big ego. That's part of the game. So yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts on Becky? Because I want to ask you next about Bianca and the Sasha Banks, the triple threat that's going to happen at Crown Jewel. So take it away.
Super briefly.
Yeah.
If at SummerSlam, when she did the little handshake, fist, manhandle slam, excuse me, that, albeit maybe a little hilly, that's not really just a low blow, feet on the ropes, pulling tights. I mean, your average fan could look over there and just say, she was eager to get the belt back, which is just aggression, which once again is what you want to see out of your wrestlers. I don't know if that was supposed to be the heel moment. I don't think it rung true, especially to the crowd. Now, had she got the mic and ran down everybody because they forgot about her and she's back now and she don't need nobody, you can turn the fans against you. But without that, without just a little punch, which, like I said, that's just aggression, which we want to see, that's not really a heel turn at all.
It's not. No, and I'm with you. Like they're not making any effort to put Becky on the mic. It's not like she's really bad on the mic. She's really good on the mic, especially when she wants to be. I'd say she's well above average. She is very skilled on the mic. I think she could easily get the fans to turn against her, and instead she's just this kind of I'm just big time Bex. I've got an ego, and what's up, San Jose? I mean, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. The manhandle slam at SummerSlam, I agree that was the moment that they believed that she turned heel, but the fans still loved it. And then I was like, okay, they're going to do some follow up, and they kind of did, and then now they're kind of not. That's a big decision to make, and the biggest key on any heel turn or babyface turn is follow through. If you don't follow through with reasoning, logic, and consistency on that decision, that conviction to stick with your decision, then you're going to be lost. That character will be lost, and you're not going to see the maximum potential that they could have in that particular role. So, well, let's get to Bianca and Sasha. How do you feel they are fitting into this whole triple threat that's now going to take place at Crown Jewel? I mean, Bianca or Sasha, take it first. Are you enjoying their part in this story?
Yeah, I mean, Bianca Belair, she's great. I mean, they picked the right person to come from NXT. She's everything she says she is. She's great with the fans. You love her. She's great. I hated what happened to her at SummerSlam because I think she deserved a 20-25 minute match, but outside of that, Bianca's doing great work. I mean, she has a lot of years ahead of her. I think one day she might rival Charlotte Flair for tacos. I mean, the girl can do a lot. She can do everything. She's strong as crap. I wish she would have was able to hold Sasha on top when she was going to do the table spot. But kudos to them. I don't know if they improv that. I don't know if they said, well, if this happens, do this. But it was perfect improvisation. And it got the desired effect. Sasha Banks great too. I love her role. Gotta love the backstab, but you couldn't have gave that to a better superstar. Dirty, underhanded. Hey, she gets 2 thumbs up from me. You hear that, Kyle from New York? Sasha Banks fan here. She does great work. I don't think she's gonna get the title anytime soon, but she would be a great candidate to get it. I'm gonna toss it to you.
Yeah. No, the Sasha Banks, starting off with her, the thing is, you just can't trust if she's going to be there from day to day. I mean, and I don't know what's going on with her personally. I'm not judging and saying, oh, she should be more consistent. We don't know why. At times she just kind of floats in and out, right? Like, we don't know. I mean, with Keith Lee, not to bring him into this, but sometimes he'll pop on TV and you're like, yeah, well, I don't trust he's going to be around for a while. And then he's gone for 2 weeks, and then they give him then he's back, and then he's gone for 6 months. Like, with Sasha, I don't think WWE, whatever the issues may be, personal, health, otherwise, we don't know. Well, we'll never know. If I was WWE, I wouldn't trust to put the belt on Sasha, knowing that if these issues pop up again, then we'll have to, rewrite the story. And what do we do with the championship? You just can't with whatever is going on with her. Unfortunately, you can't really trust putting the belt on her because of whatever's going on. But she's an excellent talent. She is clearly in the heel lane, and I like that. I think she's way better as a heel than a babyface. I never enjoyed her as a babyface. I think her and Bayley last year really carried the SmackDown Women's Division on their 2-woman power trip they did. That was awesome. And I think Bianca is also on a hell of a run. And honestly, Bianca Belair, as you mentioned, to me is the single best NXT call-up to ever come to WWE, the main roster. And what she has been able to do since WrestleMania, yes, she's lost her belt, but she's been able to establish herself as a legitimate star. And I think she's a bigger star than half the men on the WWE roster as a whole. She just fits everything perfectly. She doesn't feel like she's green. She feels like she's been there doing this, been there, done that for like 20 years. She's ahead of her years, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Athletic beyond most people's imaginations. Strong, as you said. Her mic skills, I think, they're not A++, but they are, I think, like way above what you would expect somebody from NXT coming up and getting to this level, main eventing WrestleMania. You'd expect, okay, well, she's great in the ring, but on the mic, I bet you that's where she lacks. No, I think she's really good on the mic. She's got a presence about her, a likability, and it's worth noting again, calling yourself the EST of everything and still making it somehow lovable is a hell of a talent. I mean, how can you possibly have anything more arrogant yet make it so likable? And Bianca Belair is really the only one to be able to do that. I think Bianca Belair, I mean, she's a Hall of Famer in the making right now. We are seeing the beginnings of that. I know that's a long ways off, but I'm so high on Bianca Belair, way more than I ever thought I would be when she was with the Street Profits back in the pandemic era, and the whole poison angle with Montez Ford, with Selena Vega. I don't know if you remember that, but certainly this is awesome. I'm a huge Bianca Belair fan, but I think it's probably going to be Becky who retains the crown jewel.
I totally agree. Bianca, she's great, and honestly, I can't wait for 2 to 3 years down the road when they turn her heel. I want to see the heel. Yeah. That her gimmick doesn't even have to change much. She has to be a little bit more arrogant, a little bit more aggressive, and whew, I think she could be a monster heel. I mean, legitimately. But outside of that fact, her match with Charlotte Flair on Raw was great. Now, Mr. Casual Wrestling fan did cheer for everybody, but during the match, I always picked the person. So Charlotte Flair was who Mr. Casual Wrestling fan was cheering for. This Casual Wrestling fan was cheering for Bianca. So the whole match, I'm wooing. I'm wooing the whole match, in which the crowd was very much behind Bianca. It was funny when Becky interfered in the match because Mr. Casual Wrestling fan is laughing, saying, "Yeah, cheer her now, cheer her now." But yes, Bianca, she had a great match with Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte Flair, she deserves every compliment, every acknowledgement. She deserves it all. Charlotte Flair is the greatest women's wrestler in history. That's my opinion. I know a lot of people don't like that opinion and say, "Oh, it's her last name." Don't give me that crap. That girl can have a good match with a broomstick. You can you could put my 6-year-old daughter in the ring with her, and I bet they have a 5-star classic. Charlotte Flair is great. But back on topic, Bianca Belair, she will be a great wrestler, and she will be looked at as one of the greatest wrestlers ever, albeit any injuries or any unforeseen situations happen in her life.
Yeah, and I think people need to realize that we're seeing live the footage they're going to show on her documentary they do on her one someday. Like, and again, barring something catastrophic, which we all hope doesn't happen for whatever reason, injury, whatever. We are seeing and witnessing right now for the women's side one of the biggest stars that I think they're ever going to have in Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair. Look, she gets a lot of hate because people feel that she is inevitably or just consistently always with the championship. There's never a championship that's not around her waist. People are tired of it. I understand that. I get that. I know that when somebody's constantly champion, it feels that way. People get bored or frustrated or angry. But Charlotte, like you said, she does deserve it. She is so much better than everyone else. I mean, of course, Bianca is at her level. There are a lot of women close to her level, but Charlotte is so polished. It's not like she's just strong in one area. She's strong in every area you could be and need to be as a performer. She's got everything down. Ring psychology, presence, mic work. Obviously, in ring is just stellar. She's everything. And so she should be bragging about it every week. She should be talking about how celebrated she is and how she's the opportunity. And she should have a championship. But people hate it. And isn't that the point, though, right? Like, that's the point, is to be annoyed by it. But I'm a Charlotte Flair fan, too, and I would have been wooing along with you. I think that people are just frustrated at the fact that it's the same old with Charlotte. She's got the championship. And I know Alexa brought it up a couple of weeks ago saying, who are you without the championship, right? It's just a kind of a wink and a nod to fans' frustration that she's always having a belt. But this match with Bianca she had on Raw was, I said it was one of the best main events in at least a few months that Raw has had. I wish they had more time. I can't wait for whenever these two lock up again, whenever that may be. I thought it was really well done. Again, it felt a little rushed because of their time constraints on Raw, but I thought that this was really, really well done. And yes, we didn't get a clean finish. It's weird saying that with the finish not actually being clean, but did you really expect a clean finish? Bianca can't afford a clean loss. Charlotte can't afford a clean loss. You're going to get some kind of screwy finish, and Becky's on commentary doing her thing. It was a predictable ending, but man, how they got there, it just shows you how great these matches can be with these women, and I think they outpace the men in a lot of cases.
I thoroughly agree. Right now, the top women wrestlers are on another level, and I can't take nothing from nobody in that match. And yeah, we knew we wasn't gonna get a clean finish. Me and my wife was talking about that during the match. Like it's just set up for a Becky Lynch run in. It's just too perfect for that. Which I'm glad Sasha came out to level the playing field. But the only thing I didn't even like about that, Sasha never acknowledged Charlotte. And I know Charlotte's not in the match, but Charlotte did give her the big boot on the past Smackdown. So I wish she would have gave Charlotte a little bit too. But outside of that, it was a great match. I hated for the fans that had to see it with the commercial breaks because us fans in the stadium got a treat. It was great. I give it a 5-star. I wish they could have had a little extra time, but without a clean finish, I think it was enough time. I think it was perfectly laid out. Great bumps. I loved it.
Yeah, this is this is how I want Raw to end. I mean, it doesn't always have to be with the women, but with an awesome match. It doesn't always have to be some like promo segment or something like that. Like this is, it left me wanting more from Monday Night Raw, a feeling I don't often feel watching this show every week. A lot of times, and I even watch Hulu, but I still have to kind of fill myself in with the matches not shown on Hulu. And it's just sometimes a drag to get through things. And you're like, oh, can we just get to the end? This actually left me wanting more. That should be the feeling coming out of any show you watch, to leave you wanting more and looking forward to the next show. That's exactly what this did. And it was a thumbs up for everybody in this match. Everyone involved did more than I could have asked. It was a pay-per-view quality match, no doubt. But all right, well, let's move on a little bit on Monday Night Raw here. Randy Orton hit Omos. Well, I should say that he challenged Omos to a one-on-one match. It didn't happen. He ended up being able to hit an RKO on AJ and never got the Omos Randy Orton match. Riddle obviously was involved in this. What's your thoughts on this segment? And I guess AJ and Omos and anything else you want to talk about?
Well, on this part, when we were sitting and we seen the initial part in Raw when Randy had called out Omos, and we was expecting a match in the crowd. We was all pumped, like, oh man, I want to see if Omos can take a RKO. What's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Lord have mercy, WWE really pulled the rug under the fans. More we expected. We was expecting a match, and we didn't get that, and we wasn't happy. Like, everybody was, honestly, and granted, I give WWE that. They didn't word it as if it was going to be a match, but they left it, I guess they insinuated, I guess is the best word. They insinuated a match. Like, obviously, he's going to answer and want to wrestle. And I don't know if that was an audio issue, because in the arena, we really couldn't hear much. I don't know what the issue was, but we was expecting a match. We didn't get a match. So we want a match. But as far as AJ goes, AJ and Omos phenomenal. That should be their name. But they're doing great work. And I know a lot of people want to see AJ and Omos split. I'm not ready for that. I think they're doing what they need to do currently. Now, after this tag team possible loss, which probably will be a loss, but if they lose, I don't know what's next for them. That's the problem. I mean, you're going to mill around the mid-card tag team and hope they put you on Hulu, or are you going to split and lead into one of the future pay-per-views in a feud? I mean, I really don't want to see Omos versus AJ. I would hope they would split amicably if they do split. Okay, bro, they're hot. They got all the love. I'm with RK Bro. Once again, I'm marked for everybody. So they got cheered. AJ and Omos got cheered. But if they had a match, I would have been cheering for Omos. But yeah, I like what they're doing. I do like that they're trying to make Randy back into that meaner big brother, because he's starting to be a little bit meaner to Riddle, treating him like he did at first. I love that dynamic. I want them to keep that up. Stop hugging. Let Riddle act like a fan, little brother, trying to hang with the big brother, and let Randy keep acting like a cool big brother, like, hey, get your act together. So I like the direction they're going in. I don't know how long they're going to stay hot, but right now they're red hot.
Yeah, they are. And they were, I think, for many weeks, the bright spot, the few bright spots on Monday Night Raw. Just a couple of months ago, where that was one of the few things I actually looked forward to on Monday night, the dynamic between them, that little brother, big brother kind of, I guess, structure. And they have waned from that with the hugs. I don't like that either. And the reason I don't like that is because it's not true to Randy Orton's character. He is just, it's too far gone. Randy Orton's character is too far gone to believe that he's actually into hugging and things. So I'm glad that's kind of gone away, and I hope it continues to. And eventually, yeah, we'll get the turn. Maybe it's actually going to be a heel Riddle turning on Orton, because a lot of people think that Orton's going to be the one to eventually turn on Riddle. Honestly, I am not ready for that either. I think that could be built towards WrestleMania. You could have a Riddle versus Orton match and get, in between there, a great story being told. I would look out for whenever they drop the belts to see what happens there. Whenever they drop the belts, does tension continue? Do they continue to be a team? Maybe they get the belts back, but maybe, maybe not. Maybe that's the sign and the start of, hey, they're gonna blame each other for the loss. Randy Orton's gonna get frustrated with Riddle, and that's where things break down. But you could build this for another 6 months. You really could, till WrestleMania. As far as the match goes, with Omos, pick your pronunciation, I think Randy Orton and Omos was one match I was like you guys sitting in the arena. I was like, oh, cool. We're finally going to see what happens when he goes one-on-one with his biggest opponent yet and his most capable opponent yet of Randy Orton. And we got nothing. I mean, yeah, we got an RKO out of it that hit AJ, but I want Omos versus Randy. That's what I wanted. And it's not often that WWE does this. And when they do this and pull the rug out, or they bait and switch, it's not like them. It really isn't. But for the most part, they have goodwill with fans to not tease something and not deliver. They more often than not don't do that. So I was a bit disappointed in that, because I wanted to see exactly what you said. When he gets hit with an RKO, does he stay down? Does he no-sell it like the Fiend? How is this going to work? He has not yet taken a single finish from anyone yet. I don't even know if he's been brought off his feet yet. So whenever this happens with Omos and Randy Orton, I'm all there. I mean, the more that Omos wrestles, the more he's on the screen, the more I want to see him in big-time matches. And yeah, we know we're not going to get a Ricochet and Finn Balor style. Like, of course not. I'm okay with him being a different style. It changes things up from the flips and flops that we see with everyone else. So I'm cool with it. He's more than capable in the ring. He's got a presence that is magnetic on screen. And I think that he is doing a great job as a heel. Was anybody in the audience actually cheering for the AJ and Omos, or was it Randy Orton and Riddle who were getting most of the cheers?
Oh, okay, bro, definitely got the cheers. Obviously AJ's a big name, so yeah, he's gonna get some cheers. So it was some cheers, in there for him, but he got booed. So, but yeah, okay, bro, nobody booed. I didn't hear one boo. Everybody off their feet. It was electric. That great pop. Not the pop of the night, but great pop. So yeah.
Well, that's good. I was, because at first I know that they were getting AJ and Omos were getting a little bit more crowd support than they probably designed it to be, but they've done a nice job of, and especially Omos, who's, from everything I'm hearing, is getting the reaction that they desire. And I'm just looking forward to more high-profile matches with him, to see what he actually comes face-to-face with, like, say, like him and Brock Lesnar, or, him and, I don't know, Drew McIntyre or something. I mean, like, there are some nice matchups that they could eventually get to. So, all right, let's move on here, and let's see. I want to talk a little about SmackDown. They had a lot of quarterfinal. Well, not quarterfinals. They had was it quarterfinals? Yeah, qualifiers. Two quarterfinal matches. Yeah. So a lot of Queen's Crown. I believe they're not calling it Queen of the Ring, but it's King of the Ring and a Queen's Crown, I think, matches. And it was, I think, a nice structure to the show. I had no issue really with how the matches were structured. Again, we don't get told how these people were selected. I guess anybody that's not in a real storyline, they just kind of pluck and stick in here. How did you feel about I guess, the King of the Ring tournament being back, and also the women getting their equivalent of their Queen of the Ring or Queen's Crown tournament?
Yeah, I like it. It's nice to bring it back. Obviously, Baron Corbin it didn't work. You know, shout out to Booker T. King Booker, best King of the Ring ever. I think he really wore the crown, the best ever. But back on topic, I like it. I don't necessarily like all of the wrestlers they put in it. I don't know why they put Kofi and Xavier both in it. I mean, maybe they're gonna split up the New Day, man. Who knows? It's funny if they both win. They had to play. They had to fight each other.
Don't tease me with a good time. You can't do that.
But the Queen's Crown, it's good too. I'm glad Liv Morgan didn't win. I'm glad Selena Vega finally got a win with a great finisher. But yeah, I love the equivalent. I think it works good. I just wish they could have picked a little bit more top tier talent. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking for Charlotte to win it. You know, if they put Charlotte in it, she's the queen. They could go great with her gimmick. Even Seth Rollins, you know, King of Drip, they could go with his gimmick. You know, but if you're asking my prediction,
yeah, why not? Go ahead.
I predict Shayna Baszler to win for the women, and for the men, give me Finn Balor, because I think they'd be trying to repair him a little bit because he did lose to Roman. Well, the Demon lost his first match to Roman, so there'd be some goodwill for Finn to get that placed upon him, King Balor.
I like that. Yeah, Finn Balor, who has kind of gone into hiding, like you said, since he lost to Roman with the rope breaking and all that story. So, yeah, Finn Balor would be a good one. Every time I see these tournaments, it is tailor-made for a heel to win, because there's nothing you achieve other than sitting there and getting to play pretend and dress up that you're an actual king or queen, right? Like, there's nothing that you achieve. You don't get an automatic world title shot. You don't, get to decide if you want to get drafted or be able to float between brands. You're afforded no benefits to this other than being able to brag about it, being able to tell people that you're the king of the ring, or you've won the Queen's Crown. That's why I feel like this is, without a heel winning, I have a hard time believing that a babyface could win this and have them being able to talk about it without it coming across as egotistical, because there really is no substance to this other than being able to brag about it and just get a big head about it. That's it. So I'm cool with Finn Balor winning, but it's difficult to form fit this type of heel tournament into a babyface winning. So if you're going to ask me who I think wins King of the Ring, oh boy, I think Sami Zayn wins it, honestly. I think Sami Zayn would be a perfect fit. They're also trying to get Sami Zayn into the head of Dominic. There's already starting to show seeds of dissent that are being sown. And so I don't know. What do you think that they could actually make this work with a babyface winning?
It's like the Money in the Bank. I mean, you can make Royal Rumble, which that's for baby faces, but Money in the Bank. I mean, you can have a baby face win it out. Sometimes that's like the Andre the Giant. What is it, Andre the Giant
Memorial?
Battle? Yeah. Who cares who wins that? I mean, honestly, but it's an achievement, and you can put it on your Russell resume. But I think it would do goodwill for Finn Balor to win it. I mean, it could be a good way to kind of transfer him to kind of a different character. He's the Demon King, King of the Ring. It could work, and I could see Sammy winning it. I mean, that'd be great for Sammy. I like Sammy. He's funny, so that could be something great for Sammy to win and let it go through his head. And I just don't know. He's so used to seeing him wear his little homeless outfit. Can you imagine him walking around like he's royalty?
Yeah, no, I see that. I mean, Finn Balor, they could make it work. It's just that I feel like they're swimming upstream anytime they try to make a heel style match, have a babyface win that match. I'm cool with it. Like, I'm a huge Finn Balor fan. I think that since he's come back to the main roster, he's like a new guy. He's got this edge to him. He's not so smiley and so happy. He's business. All business. He's, I think, gotten even better in the ring. I think Pat McAfee said on SmackDown when he was having his match with Cesaro that neither of them have seen a single carb combined in 20 years. And because both of them are so ripped. It's so true. I mean, they keep themselves in insane shape. And I'm a huge Finn Balor fan. Everything from his entrance to just the way he speaks, everything. So they could have him win, and I'm cool with that. But I do wonder, though, is Finn Balor at this point in his career kind of above a King of the Ring tournament? Typically, that's where you'd have somebody who's up and coming or somebody you have plans with that hasn't been at that top tier level, use the King of the Ring to propel them. Whereas Finn Balor is the guy that's already been there, done that in terms of winning the Universal Championship. Although it feels like a million years ago now, he's won the NXT Championship. So I don't want to say it's beneath him, but it's almost like he's going in reverse here. Of you go from a Universal title match with Roman Reigns main eventing a pay-per-view back to a King of the Ring tournament. So you go from winning something to imaginarily winning something, I guess, for this tournament. So I'm with you. I understand Finn Balor, but I'm going with the way WWE thinks too. And I think they look at this and go, well, Kofi and Jinder, not going to happen. I don't think Xavier and Ricochet would really make the best use of this. I think Sami Zayn is the only one doing something relevant in storyline that they could use this as a catapult for Sami Zayn. That's just my opinion.
Right, but also let's remember, Finn Balor just came back up to the main roster. And outside of beating up on Corbin, you've seen him lose to Roman Reigns in his most superheroic generation ever. He needs, whether we agree or not, he needs something to boost him. And I think this will be a great pat on the back, a boost to that you killed your character. Literally. For Roman Reigns. And if we're going to have this discussion, did Roman Reigns need that? Did his character not? And let me be clear when I say this. I'm not saying Finn Balor should have beat Roman. I'm saying the Demon King shouldn't have been in the match because I don't think that it elevated Roman to some, astronomical place because he beat the Demon King. Yeah, he was undefeated, but I think that did more harm to Finn than good to Roman because Roman's going to beat Brock, and that's his good. That's way bigger than beating Demon King. It's beating Brock Lesnar. So I think it did more harm to Finn than it helped Roman, and I think he does need a little pat on the back to say, hey, that sucks, but we have plans for you still. So that's my opinion.
I don't think that WWE really foresaw the result of Finn Balor losing at the pay-per-view. The outcome of it being that Roman doesn't gain more than he actually did from this. Like you said, Finn Balor lost a lot from that, but Roman didn't gain much. If anything, I think Roman just kind of stayed the course. I don't think Roman really gained anything from this because he won in a fluke fashion with the top rope breaking. And now the Demon has a blemish on his record. So what did you really gain from that? The answer is not much outside of a good match, a great match. You didn't get much. And that's really a net negative. And yeah, that is something that if you're a Demon fan, you have to be, or Finn Balor fan in general, you have to be kind of a little pissed about that. And I would be with you on that. So yeah, maybe they do use this as a propelling mechanism for Finn to go to that next level. They could do it in a kind of traditional way where he says, I'm not going to rule with an iron fist. And, he could play it up where he doesn't make you roll your eyes that he believes he's an actual king, like every other heel that has won this before does. Kurt Angle, Booker T, although Booker T did it brilliantly, like you said, probably the best that anyone has ever taken advantage of the King of the Ring tournament. We've had Baron Corbin most recently. So it's always typically the formula is heel wins the tournament. They believe they're an actual king. They call people subjects. They wear the crown and bring the scepter to the ring, and they're delusional that they're an actual king, right? Like that's just the formula they've used. And I'd like them maybe to get away from that, right? Like Finn Balor could be the one to break that. So, yeah, go ahead.
Real quickly, and even more damage to Finn was all of us as fans knew Roman was going to win. We was looking past Finn to Brock.
Yep.
Sacrifice the demon for that. And that part about being a fan that kind of understands, because sometimes it sucks going into a match knowing that blank is going to happen. I mean, it sucks sometimes, but you got to ride it. We knew Finn was going to lose, but it just did a lot of damage to him.
Yeah, the biggest mistake, I'm glad you brought that up, that they made in this match, maybe not even the booking of it, which was questionable because no one gained, as we just said, is putting somebody that's a bigger star beyond that, like booking 2 pay-per-views ahead and knowing that not only is Roman going to win, but he's definitely retaining the championship to face Brock Lesnar. So, yeah, I mean, it took a lot of the steam away from the match, and it did kind of disrespect Finn Balor, the Demon. I mean, it's not a good idea to do it. And WWE has almost never done that, to my knowledge. And I'm probably wrong about that, but offhand, they don't do it much. Like where they book 2 pay-per-views ahead, and then in the meantime, they say, okay, well, this pay-per-view, the next one, you're going to face this person. But in 2 pay-per-views, you're going to, that almost never happens. So it did not help Finn Balor for sure. And honestly, I don't think it helped Roman Reigns much either, So, all right, let's continue on here. And I want to ask you about Sami Zayn, though, as we're kind of on the topic. First of all, he doesn't say a whole lot these days about the conspiracy theory thing. I think they've maybe moved away from that. His mission as of late is to sow seeds of dissent into the brain of Dominic and to eventually get to the ultimate goal of having the match maybe between Dominic and Rey where they split up, they're angry at one another. That is, I believe, the eventual goal of Sami Zayn. First of all, do you think that's the case? And do you like it?
That's a loaded question. Do I think that's the case? Most likely. Do I like it? Yes. Yeah, more yes than no. What I don't want to see Dominic Mysterio versus Rey. That's not something I want to see. I wouldn't mind seeing Dominic attack Rey. But maybe I'm just a sap. But I'd want Ray to take the high road and say, son, I'm not going to fight you. You want to be on your own, be on your own. I'm not a big Dominic Mysterio fan, for that matter. I mean, he don't really do it for me. I think they need to send him to NXT. He needs to try to bulk up, grow a beard, turn heel, something. I mean, his character development is horrible. You know that he's Rey Mysterio's son. That's what you know about him. That's basically all you know. And he does the 619. I mean, but everybody gives Charlotte Flair flat. Dominic Mysterio should get that times 1,000. And he needs to correct this. He needs to get out on his own if he even has a chance. I mean, if you ask me, I think he ought to leave WWE and hit the indie scenes by himself to really hone in on his craft. I think it's too much daddy this, daddy that. And I think Ray is a hands-on father behind the scenes as well. And I think it's time for him to go off in the sunset, prosper, learn. But yes, I do think that's the end game. They are going to eventually sow the scent using Sami Zayn. I like it. It's funny to me. I like Sami. I like how he acts, and I'm here for the ride. I just don't want to see the match between Dominic and Rey. But how about you?
It's funny that you brought that up. That in real life, what we're seeing on screen of Dominic giving Rey all this advice and you should be doing this, not that, that's probably not far at all from what is happening when the cameras are off. That's why maybe it's so real with this, is that it's probably really close to what's happening in real life with these two. And why not, right? I mean, if you're Rey Mysterio, of course you're going to try to actually help your son, not just in storyline, but in just performance in general. That's just what a father should do. So they're taking what's happening backstage, turning the camera on and embellishing a little, but doing what is happening anyway. And now Sami Zayn's the catalyst where he's going to light the fire and then stand back and watch it burn. And he's going to watch these two get angry with each other more and more every week. We're going to see Rey Mysterio get probably in Dominic's match next week, whatever that may be. We're going to have Dominic and Rey, or rather, we're going to have Rey accidentally cost Dominic, and maybe one of them shoves the other one to the ground next week. No punches or anything thrown, but frustrations boil over. And they could string this out several more months. Do I want to see it? Yeah, I do, because I'm tired of this lovey-dovey relationship with these two. Not my thing. I'm a father, but it doesn't resonate with me that this is how actually people talk to each other, calling each other son. Like, no, that's not his name. And to your point about Dominic growing a beard, yeah, that would certainly help. He still looks like a child, and he performs well in the ring, but that's all he's got. He's got a name, and he does well in the ring. He's got zero personality. He has really mimicked just his dad's style, which, he's your dad, fine, but he has not created his own identity. He has not carved out the recipe for who is Dominic Mysterio outside of, like you said, outside of Rey Mysterio's son. Like, that's all he's got on his resume. I'm Rey Mysterio's son. That's it. So I think that him turning heel on Rey could be a way to rectify that in part of, okay, who is Dominic? What is going on in his head? Why is he mad at his dad? Is it because all those years ago when there was the custody battle between him and Eddie Guerrero? I hope they do bring that up if that happens. That'd be brilliant. But I really do. For those that don't remember, just YouTube it, right? Like, just YouTube Dominic. I think it was a ladder match between him and Eddie Guerrero for the custody of Dominic. So just go watch it. But maybe they bring that up. I want some character development. He's not on the mic, and maybe for good reason, because he's not very good. Every time he's on the mic, to me, he's boring. Like, so boring on the microphone. It's almost like he needs some kind of software update. He's not really human. Something's not right. I want to reboot him. And now he's good in the ring. That's not the problem, but yeah, that's what I've say about that. I want the match just for the sake of character development, for God's sakes.
But I mean, let's remember this: after this match, which is going to happen, Dominic Mysterio is irrelevant without Rey Mysterio. And if you take Dominic Mysterio away from Rey, even as a heel, I mean, he's going to become a jobber pretty quickly. He has good moves. I mean, he's great. I'm not going to take that away from his athleticism or anything like that. But doesn't have a character. He's not good on the mic. He has Rey Mysterio's moves. He doesn't have a unique, skill set. He doesn't make great faces. His body is weak looking. I mean, he's tall, but he's string bean. I mean, he's the definition of a jobber. And he would be a jobber if his name wasn't Mysterio.
Yeah.
He needs to leave. I think he needs to go. I think he needs to go far away from Rey, whether it be to Japan, whether it be to the UK, whether it be just indie here in America. But he needs time where he can, build his own craft, build his own persona. I think, and I do think that Rey Mysterio is a very overbearing parent, who thinks he knows everything was best for his child. But Rey was special because he was small. Dominic is tall, but yes, I'm not going to keep going in circles. But yeah.
No, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, his body type, like if you walk past him on the street, you wouldn't look back and go, "Oh man, I bet you that's a WWE wrestler." Like, I mean, he does not have the look of a star. The body type, it is what it is. I mean, he could change that unless he's got some kind of inability to. There's ways to build muscle. It's not secret. You eat a lot more and you lift weights. Your diet's going to change things, like I said. But beyond that, yeah, maybe he blows us away. Maybe this heel turn that's presumed blows us away. He shows us a side we didn't know existed, and maybe, he ends up being the most hated heel, right, on SmackDown. Very unlikely, but this is his one and only shot to do it, I think. And like you said, after Rey Mysterio goes away and this program goes away, where does Dom go? I mean, maybe to I don't know, Bosley for some hair implants on his face. I don't know. Maybe he can't grow a beard. I don't know. He just needs some kind of identity. He needs some help, and Rey is probably exactly what you're seeing. He's probably the guy that is suffocating his son backstage with advice. That's probably exactly what's happening. So, all right, I want to switch gears into the Queen's Crown Tournament a little bit and just talk quickly about some of the matches that happened. Zelena Vega defeated Toni Storm. I mean, this match lasted less than 3 minutes. She beat her with a code red. I was shocked that Zelena Vega beat Toni Storm. Now, look, I'm a Zelena Vega fan. I've been a fan of hers. I've been singing her praises for, it feels like years now. I think she's very good on the microphone. She's improved immensely in the ring. But to have Zelena Vega come in here and defeat Toni Storm, one of the more recent call-ups from NXT, a woman that can put on 5-star matches and has in NXT, was one of the standouts in the Evolution pay-per-view, the all-woman pay-per-view. In my mind, just blew my mind of how good she was. Zelena Vega comes in there, a woman that's won one match since she returned. Pat McAfee on commentary said, since Zelena Vega's return, she's been shot straight to the top. I'm thinking, Pat, are we watching the same product? I know your job is to put talent over. In what world has Zelena Vega shot to the top since she returned? That was a bit of an overstatement, but I was just shocked by this. I thought Toni Storm would win for sure. And 3 minutes is not enough, I don't think, for this. But were you shocked as well with this outcome?
Well, you said the move was called the Code Red.
It's called Code Red. I just learned that too. Yeah.
Hey, best finish ever. I loved it. Like when she did the move, and Alexa Bliss does something similar.
Yep.
Zelena Vega, you knew it was a finish, and I feel like, when you watch a match, and I've never seen your finisher before, I should know. I should be like, okay, that's it. And I totally was like, okay, that's it. Toni Storm, I'm not, I don't know much of her because I just started watching NXT 2.0, which I think is good. But Toni Storm hadn't wrestled in a couple months? Hasn't it been a while?
It's been a while, yeah.
So it wasn't too shocking to me. I was honestly thinking, I hope they don't put Toni Storm over. Vega needs it. Lord have mercy. So, yeah, I was happy. Great finish. I think they need to shoot Zelena Vega up a little bit. She's a good heel. She's great on the mic. She has great moves. She's small, but so is Alexa Bliss. So, hey, she does great work.
It's so funny that you say that. It's just the complete opposite expectation, but you got what you wanted. And I have no problem with this other than it's very, I guess, abnormal when they bring somebody up from NXT, if they're new within the last few months of being called up, that they don't have that person get on some kind of hot streak. That's just typically what they do. And it's just weird to have Zelena Vega, who's won one match since she's been back the last, 4 months, and to have her win. It's fine. I'm not going to sit here and lose my mind over it. It was just shocking. But the next match here, Carmelo versus Liv Morgan. Now, it's so funny that you say that you're glad Liv Morgan didn't win, because myself, like the fans in attendance, I think, and most fans sitting at home are probably thinking to themselves, okay, this is going to be Liv Morgan's moment, at least to advance in a tournament. This is the first round of the tournament. Carmella has lost just countless matches over the last several months. There's just no way. Liv Morgan has the organic support of the fans, outside of you, I know, but it was really, really weird that they had Carmella beat Liv Morgan here. I was shocked that they had her. Again, another shocking decision here. What did you think about this match itself? I'm reading some reviews, like CBS Sports gave it an F. Like, an actual F. I don't see Fs very often that they give. I'm trying to see some other ratings, but the general feeling was not only was this a bad booking decision, but it also, quality-wise of the match, was bad. What did you think?
I'm gonna be honest. I will give Carmelo props for one thing. That mask is funny. Like that. Hey, I'm on board for that. I know everybody else says it's crazy. It fits her gimmick. I mean, I'm on board for that. I'm not a Liv Morgan fan. Miss Casual Wrestling fan is not a Liv Morgan fan. We do not live through Liv. She comes off very whiny, entitled. You know, the whole Money in the Bank thing, irked me. I deserve a chance. Why can't I get a chance? Wham, wham, wham. Pour me a drink. I don't like to wham. So I do agree that I think Carmelo won with a super kick. It was very choppy. The match wasn't that good, but I wasn't disappointed. It's going to be fun to see Zelena versus Carmelo since they're supposedly friends, to see what the outcome of the match. And they're both heels, so who's going to care about the match? But that's my opinion.
I hear you. And here's the one good thing I'll say about the match. Like, the mask thing is fine. The "you look stupid" chants are starting. It reminds me of Sheamus when he had his ridiculous haircut. So the "you look stupid" chants are coming back to cover her face, so she continues to be the most beautiful woman in WWE. I'm fine. It's fine. Like, whatever. That's not my gripe with this match. The one thing I was going to say that's positive is, yes, it ended in a super kick, but you know what? Super kick should actually be a knockout shot. I know it's a transition move. Many, many, many people use it today as a transition move, and it should be a finish. If someone's going to seriously kick you as hard as they can underneath your jaw, that's a knockout shot. You should be knocked out. And so I'm cool with that being the finish. The problem I have is that they gave this match and the previous match with Selena Vega like a combined total of 5 minutes to work. And to me, if you're trying to make the men, or rather the women, on the same level as the men, and they've made a lot of progress in that respect of giving the women the time they deserve, and not just throwing them a bone or trying to make them feel good by giving them something they don't deserve, but deservingly, they have given the women at least their own Royal Rumble. They've done Money in the Bank, Hell in a Cell. They've main evented WrestleMania. Like, they've done almost everything. Now they've got this Queen of the Crown, or Crown of the Queen, whatever, tournament. That's the equal of the King of the Ring. And now they give these first two matches a combined total of 5 minutes. It's, to me, that's just, it sends kind of the opposite message. Like, you're giving them a tournament, but you're also giving them like a combined total for two matches of 5 minutes to work. I don't know. It's kind of a conflicting message. So did you think about that?
I would say with the Zelena match, I did notice how quick it was. But the finish, like I said, in my mind, it made it up for me. The Carmella match, maybe I wasn't paying much attention as I thought. It seemed a little long. I would have gave it about 5-6 minutes. But it shows perception of time is at the over. So,
all right, yeah, no, I hear you. I just maybe they'll change their tune next week and give us some actually matches that are more than a combined total of 5 minutes. It just seemed to be sending two different messages. But anyway, let's move on. Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, they attack Kevin Owens during Happy Talk. This was a really weird segment for me, and I'm not really upset about it. I'm just confused because this was billed as Happy Talk with the Street Profits, and yet Kevin Owens comes out and just attacks them, goes for a stunner on Madcap Moss, didn't get it. Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss end up just beating Kevin Owens down, and we got no talk about the Street Profits. Did I miss something? Was there an explanation, or did they just ignore it completely that the Street Profits were supposed to be on there?
I don't know if I took a nap or something, but I didn't see it either.
Okay.
Where's the Profits? I'm Street Profits fan. But, I mean, I like Happy Corbin. I like the gimmick. I don't like the name Happy Corbin, but, I mean, his gimmick is cool. The sidekick is okay, I guess. I like poor Corbin. I like, as Pat Matt would say, I like bum ass Corbin. I thought that was a really good iteration for him. And I get you got money again, but I don't know. I think Corbin's kind of cooling a little bit, and I'm not a big Kevin Owens guy either. But isn't this like the second, third week in a row he's done got beat up? He got beat up by Logan Paul. He done got beat up by Matt Camp. He done got beat up by Corbin. I mean, when has Kevin Owens in the past 2-3 weeks actually got offense?
Well, I will say this, and those that listen to the show may know where I'm about to go with this. If you're a Kevin Owens fan, I am big Kevin Owens fan. I would not be discouraged by this. And the reason is that Kevin Owens' contract expires at the end of January, and he has tweeted out I think it was like a month ago, and then has since deleted this tweet, tweeting out the number of days. He didn't say what the number of days were the end to, but it ended at the final day of the month. And it has been since revealed that, that is the end of his WWE contract. So that being said, my belief is that he's counting those days, biding his time, whatever you want to say, until that contract expires. Once the no-compete clause also expires, he can go into AEW. I don't think there's any question about it. I think he'd be an excellent fit in AEW for their culture. He's an indie guy. The fans respect him. They believe he's been misbooked. He's got a wealth of talent to work with. He can get a fresh start in AEW. He'd be getting paid at the same rate or more than WWE would pay him with Tony Khan there. I think it's a great place for Kevin Owens to land, and I think that perhaps WWE has approached Kevin Owens already, and I don't know this for a fact. This is, again, my speculation, and they've already approached him about a contract extension, and he probably either turned them down or hasn't responded. And with that being said, we're like, okay, well, we're just going to assume you're not going to be a part of WWE after the end of January, and they will and I've said, look out, because if that's the case, they're probably going to bury him the next few months. That's just what they do. He might get a win here and there, but he's not going to be in any title matches. You'll notice this past week and the last several weeks, he doesn't even get any mic time. He just comes out and gets beat up. That's all signs, telltale signs that you're on your way out. Look what they did with Dean Ambrose, for God's sakes. I mean, so to me, this is discouraging if you're Kevin Owens, but it's also really exciting because of what could be happening in the next several months, 6 months or so, with Kevin Owens going to AEW. That's just my speculation. Again, I don't want to be taken as fact that, oh, wait a minute, he's going to AEW. Cool, when's this happening? It's just my speculation, but there's a lot of evidence to back that up. So what do you think?
WWE podcast fan, what Matt told you, that's not speculation. What does Paul Heyman say? That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. So we gonna save this audio.
yeah. Mark it down, October 10th, 2021.
Matt told you first. You heard it here first. I totally agree. What other reasons would they bury him? Because I mean, he's literally getting buried. Even by Logan Paul standing over here saying you're not that guy. Oh God. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited because to me it's weird. I the more that Kevin Owens gets just buried every week after week, the more I'm going to get excited for him moving forward. And it's weird to say. So the more disrespected he gets on WWE, not only am I going to be excited for him to leave and go to AEW, and the fans' reaction is going to be epic. I mean, maybe not CM Punk level, but pretty close. I think the podcasts he could do, maybe with Jericho or whoever, could be a lot of fun to listen to. I don't, not to say that he's going to bash his former employer or be immature about it, but Kevin Owens is a very outspoken individual, and he's great on the mic. He can give you a story very, very eloquently. He's a good talker. So I'm looking forward to not just him leaving and going to AEW, but the interviews and things that he'll be able to do in the interim are going to be a lot of fun. So everybody, hang on to your hat. The more you see Kevin Owens be disrespected, buried, forgotten, pick your adjective of disrespect. If it happens over the next several months, get excited. That's all I've got to say. So it's weird to say that, but I'm actually rooting for Kevin Owens to get continue to get just buried week after week. That's because it's a sign. It's a sign of good things to come. So, all right, let's talk about Naomi and Sonia Deville here. Naomi has somehow coerced Sonia Deville to come out of her kind of weird quasi-retirement over the last couple of years. And for whatever reason, we don't know yet why, Sonia Deville has a big issue with Naomi and has said next week, you're going to have a match with me, which is weird considering that they have a pay-per-view in like a week and a half. They couldn't have waited. But maybe it does actually not happen, and then the match happens at Crown Jewel. What do you think about Sonia Deville coming out of her WWE official role to face Naomi next week?
I think it'll be good. I don't know if I'm really big on the build. Or maybe it was just a little slower, asking for opportunities week after week, getting told no, starting to get a little smirky, and then, they did the kayfabe fine for talking back to her. I mean, it's okay. I'm more excited to see Sonya come back, to see what she looks like. I mean, for that matter, we ain't seen Naomi wrestle in a while too, so I mean, it's like she's coming back as well. This is one of the things when I don't have an expectation because I don't know what to expect. You don't know if they'll come out there and it's going to be a fault, some type of interference or disqualification, or if it's just not going to happen at all. But, and as far as it being on the pay-per-view, I don't know if it's pay-per-view worthy. I mean, the build is just, I want an opportunity, and I gave you opportunity against me. I mean, is that really something that I would care to see on the pay-per-view? Not really. But she is returning, so I guess you could say that's the reason why. I'm here for the match. I would hope and pray they don't get 3 to 5 minutes. I hope they give him time. But, like I said, expectations, I don't have any. I'm just locking in for a good return match. Hopefully, both superstars don't have that much ring rust and we have a good match.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, I've been waiting for Sonya Deville to come back for many months now. I think her skills are best utilized inside the ring and on the mic, not as a WWE official, of which we still got no explanation how that happened. She just showed up one day and was like, oh yeah, guys, I'm not a wrestler anymore. I'm an official. But I think that her coming back to the ring is really, really going to be a good thing for SmackDown if she's on the SmackDown roster, or maybe she's still an official. It doesn't mean she's coming out of her official role. We haven't got clear explanation on that. Maybe we have a match in which the stipulation is that if she loses, she is no longer an official. Maybe that's something down the line. But yeah, you're right. As far as is this pay-per-view worthy, you're right. Probably not. And Saudi Arabia has a WrestleMania-like card, so this is probably not worthy of that show. And maybe that Saudi Arabia, I don't know the political structure of how they view multiple women matches on the show. Perhaps they only want X amount, and while they allow the women to perform, they don't want, too many women. It's weird and terrible to say, but look, they're a much different government over there. Their politics are different, all that kind of stuff. So maybe that's also something that is playing into it. I don't know. My speculation here, but I'm looking forward to Sonya getting back in the ring, and Naomi. Like, you're right. I don't think these two have competed in about the same time, right? Like, Sonya Deville had her stalker issue. She had other things going on, and she became an official. Naomi has been MIA for, my God, I don't know how long now. So yeah, it feels like they kind of left for different reasons, and now they're back inside a ring against one another. So I'm looking forward to it.
I agree. I wish with Sonya in her official role, I wish she would have been a little bit more dirty. Like, she told the line with Charlotte when she tried to come off kind of heelish, but she really could really take that role to the next level. She can be an official. She can make matches. She can start to compete. And, I'm a fan that likes the line between reality and kayfabe blurred. It's nice to think, oh God, is this real? Is this real heat? Like the Charlotte and Nia situation. That piqued everybody's interest because those two women had a shoot fest. And, as a fan, yes, you know the business, but it's nice to see the business question. Are they doing business? Or are they going in for business for themselves? And I'm okay with that line being blurred. So I wish they would do that with Sonya in a way like she makes the matches. She wrestles. She can put herself in easier matches, put, the champion in harder matches, multiple matches, finagle her way to become champion, and she's the booker. What does everybody talk about? Is the booker being a wrestler, the booker not being able to strategically look at what they're supposed to, do because they see their own self greed. I want this. And you could play that out in the women's division. So I wish they would have, that's fantasy book, but I wish they would have did something like that with Sonya.
Yeah, they probably should have in hindsight. There wasn't a whole lot of build to that. And she tried to play the neutral character. She tried to play that neutral WWE official character. I was never a fan of her in that role. Adam Pearce is fine. Maybe they wanted a male-female representation for balance. I don't know. But I think that, and I hope that this is her true exit from that role and that she will not be resuming the WWE official role after this match. And it'll just kind of naturally evolve into, I'm back in the ring, right? Like, I don't know. I just don't think it's the best thing that they could be doing with her. So, all right. Well, let's see. I don't know if there's anything else that, at least on the current product, we didn't get to every little thing. Of course, Edge, as we said, challenged Seth Rollins to Hell in a Cell. We mentioned that, which is, I think, excellent. They had the contract signing, which was really just backstage Becky signing the contract. And then on Monday Night Raw, we pretty much went over everything. We didn't talk really much about Drew McIntyre. Him and Big E defeated Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler via pinfall. But let me ask you just kind of a quick question on Big E, because I haven't spoken to you since he actually won. How do you like how do you like Big E in his current form winning the WWE Championship from Bobby Lashley?
I hate it. I was not a fan of that. I'm going to be honest, and I know a lot of people disagree with me. Big E people love Big E. When he came out of Nashville, he got a great pop. I mean, between his pop and Biggie's pop, it was very close. Like, they love New Day here in Nashville. I'm not a Big E fan. I'm not a New Day fan. I think WWE knows that we don't see Big E currently, at least I don't, as championship material. When you're putting him in matches to bolster him up, to make us believe that he is this guy, it's wrong. You had to have a triple threat, which Big E didn't win, which really didn't boost him up none. And then you put him in the cage with Lashley. You give him that win. Now you're going to feed him to Drew and let him get that win over Drew. But this could have been done, prior to him getting the belt. They didn't lay the groundwork. They built the house with no foundation. And so you put the belt on him, and, the fans love it because, they like Big E or whatever. But I think this is going to wear off a little quicker than they expect. They're going to try to solidify him as the champion. I'm cheering for Drew. I'm booing Big E. I'm cheering for Drew. Drew's my guy. I'm glad he tagged in the match and got the Claymore 1, 2, 3. I hate it for Drew because once again he's getting fed up to build another person up. Which speaks volumes to Drew McIntyre that he's built his stock up where he's can push somebody up to that level. But I don't think Big E's on that trajectory. They haven't did any character development with him. He's still Big E at a New Day. He just has different music. I don't like it. I think it was a horrible choice. I wish they would have kept the belt on Bobby or gave it to somebody else but Big E. But that's how I feel about it.
I mean, everybody knows how I feel. I'm not going to rehash. It's about what you feel, but also even worse, I think. And again, it's not about his work ethic. It's not about Big E as a person. He doesn't get the company in trouble. He's a good human being, from what I understand. He looks the part. He does. He massive guy, massive muscle. He's what WWE Vince McMahon wants. Like, he fits a lot of what WWE is looking for, but it's just, it all comes down to character. That's the only problem I have with Big E, outside of his finish being just basically a belly flop, which is all it is. And it's not even good looking. Like, finishers are supposed to be safe, obviously, but it's supposed to look good and plausible that it could end a match. It's just, his finish is just terrible, but it's fixable. What's also fixable is his character. That's fixable. He's shown he can cut a good promo. And with a serious side, he has the ability. It's there. Like, every issue he has is fixable, and yet they feel the need to just run him out there as New Day 2.0. You know, that they just can't let go of that character. It's terrible. It's terrible, but unfortunately, I am a drowned out voice among millions of fans that continue to just support him, and the fans in attendance at live events continue to cheer for him, which again is what WWE listens to. So I know, look, you and I are minorities in this in this support for Big E. Again, he's certainly a future WWE champion. Just the character, it's 100% about his character that I do not like, and that to me is not WWE champion worthy. That's the whole issue I have with him. Outside of that, I have no issues.
And I agree. And the fans, this quick back look back for me. On Monday, we was gonna go to the show. Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan is conservative when it comes to money. So hey, I budget. So I was looking for tickets the night before. Little high. I'm like, no, this Casual Wrestling Fan is not gonna buy that. So get off work a little early, around 4:30. I said, I'm gonna check tickets. Boom. Hey, got some cheaper tickets. Love it. Great seats. I buy them. At 4:30, we get down to the stadium at 5:30. We walk into before we got to our seats, we try to go through the little ticket line, and we got upgraded seats through the production. Woohoo! Better seats. Anyway, 6:20, walking in to get to our seats, and what do we hear but New Day claps going out throughout the arena? No New Day in sight, just fans sitting around doing the New Day clap. So Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan don't like New Day. So I start the Charlotte Flair woo just to get it to stop. But yeah, they love Big E. I don't really love him that much. Like I said, not him personally. This is not a personal knock on Big E. But if they would just adjust his character, make him a little bit more serious, he can still be funny. He can still have fun. Change the colors. Just get away from the New Day. Please. Please. Just let us see. Just try it. If it don't work, you can go back New Day. Just try it.
They're scared. I think that, and I honestly don't know how much influence Big E himself has on this, or maybe this is actually what he's comfortable with, and they don't want to. But the comfort zone is the kiss of death, as they always say. And this group has been around since 2014. They debuted on November 3rd, 2014, or at least that's when we got their first vignette. And that being said, so it's been 7 years since we've seen this group. And yeah, we've seen them get more wacky and pancakes and throwing different types of foods. But they've essentially, at their core, been the same exact group for 7 years. And especially when you have somebody capture the WWE Championship, you would hope there's some kind of evolution beforehand of that character. One of the individuals, like Kofi, who, for instance, who won it, who is just as bad, maybe even worse than Big E in my mind, of his goofiness and carrying pancakes behind the WWE Championship. It's just, I find it kind of disrespectful, and it's to me, it devalues the championship when you act like that. Now, Big E's not doing that. He's just still gyrating and doing his hip swivels and his tongue out of his mouth and all the weird things that he does when he's part of New Day. But even when he's separated from New Day, he does the New Day clap during his matches. It just continues to reinforce that he is not evolving, that he's still the same guy. And WWE, I think, are just staying in their comfort zone out of fear of doing something that doesn't work, which ironically will be, I think, the downfall of Big E eventually if they continue to do this. But I could be wrong. Because the fans are disappointing me and continue to support him. So I blame the fans just as much as I blame creative for not changing it all, because the fans continue to react the way they do.
Exactly. And I wish the fans will understand that your voice matters. You don't have to cheer because everybody else is cheering. You can boo amongst a sea of cheers. Be yourself. To change gears a little bit, I want to talk about Damian Priest real quick.
Shoot.
He did not get no love from the Nashville crowd. And not from a boo standpoint, more from an indifferent standpoint. Jeff Hardy is nostalgic, and everybody loves Jeff. Hey, you'd have thought he was Becky Lynch. He was getting chants during the match. He was getting cheers. Great finish. I mean, the false finish at the end with the swanton.
Yes.
I honestly thought, I was shocked. I gasped. I said, "Are they really doing this?" Because who would have thought Jeff Hardy was going to win that match? Honestly, I gasped. He goes for the pin. 1, 2. We didn't see the kick out as fans. So we counted 3 and we thought Jeff won until you double look and you see the ref is counting Damian Priest all of a sudden. 1, 2, 3, Damian Priest wins. Like, whew. But yeah, Damian Priest, he didn't get booed, but he got more of an indifferent, like Japanese crowds, how they kind of can be indifferent and not really crap with people they don't really care about. He got a pop when his music came on when he first came in. He got a pop, but after that, it was quiet. So I don't know what they're going to do with Damian Priest, but I like him personally. But hey.
Yeah, that's funny you bring up Jeff Hardy. I think that that match was the most relevant Jeff Hardy has been in many, many months. How he earned that championship match, they don't tell us. Because I know you don't care about those details, being more of a casual fan, as you say, but to me, it's like, well, this is why they're here. At least tell me how he earned it outside of, the name of Jeff Hardy. Like I don't buy it. Jeff Hardy's been losing matches consistently for many, many months, and all of a sudden he gets multiple United States Championship matches. So those kinds of things I'm not a fan of, but that said, I really enjoyed the match. That false finish got me sitting at home. I was, because he hit the Swanton bomb, and I'm like, whoa, okay, yeah, they're doing it. And it ended up being essentially a no-sell almost from Damian Priest, but it is what it is. He ends up getting the pinfall on Jeff. And after the match, interestingly, two things happened. Even more, I think, interesting than the actual match with Damian Priest is Jeff Hardy alluding to a character change going to SmackDown, which people have speculated about maybe his TNA character coming over, right? But also, we had Austin Theory come out in kind of a fanboy way at first, asking for selfies and just kind of totally marking out for Jeff. And then he turns on Jeff and hilariously does a selfie with Jeff while he's laying on the mat. I found that really funny, but also heat generating. I know it was a simple thing. There wasn't a whole lot to it. But I really enjoyed that because it was somebody new for Jeff to work with, and I don't know, I liked that. I thought it was well done. What'd you think?
You mean it was somebody new for Jeff to lose to?
Oh, yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
But about the title match, and I'm gonna be honest now, a group getting back together, I feel is different than somebody getting a title shot. And I don't think Jeff was deserving of the title shot if you can't win matches. Now, I'm not big upon the whole ranking system because they don't never stick to it no way. But I don't want to see a jobber going for a title. I mean, that's stupid. But regardless, Austin Theory's part was hilarious. Now, when he came out, I'm yelling, give him the twisted fate. I thought this was Jeff Hardy finna show his dark side. Like, this little fanboy come out here, I'm going to show him. But it was the total opposite. And I think the funniest part, during the selfie, Jeff got his eyes closed, but he's got the paint with his eyes open.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like, it was very heat generating. Everybody booed, but that was hilarious. So, yeah, shout out to Austin Theory. He looks different, too.
Yeah, he does. Different facial hair. He's got a nice body on him. He's definitely from the Zelena Vega and Andrade days of the pandemic era to now, definitely. So before we get to, I know you had a question or two for me, but was there anything regarding the this week in WWE with anything that I didn't cover you wanted to talk about?
Well, if we could take just really briefly a brief detour to NXT 2.0.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not getting deep, but I always want to give a couple shout outs to some wrestlers who doing great work right now, at least in my opinion. Tommaso Ciampa is great, but we knew that. I don't have to say that. He's doing great work, great NXT champion, loving it. Diamond Mine, great stable. I wish they could have came up. I know they're early. I know they're young. Whitey Strong's cruiserweight champion, looking good right now. The group's nice, and Toxic Attraction. I mean, that's a good group. We've always looked for a heel woman stable, and they're doing that. I can see them putting the NXT tag belts on them, giving Mandy Rose the NXT Women's Championship. That could be a dominant group right there. So that's just a couple of shout outs to NXT real quickly.
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about, but again, I don't watch NXT for sake of time, but I can't really comment because Zach Smith, who does our NXT, could definitely comment on that. But maybe I should, maybe I should try to just force myself to make time to watch NXT 2.0, just because I want to see how Vince McMahonified it is from what originally it was. Do you sense that since Vince took over the production of that show, that it feels that NXT has maybe lost its original feel, and that it feels like Vince has his fingerprints all over it? Or does it actually still feel different in a good way from the main product?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch NXT prior to 2.0.
Oh, okay.
NXT 2.0 drawed me in. So whatever Vince McMahon did, he got me watching. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a wrestling fan that's I guess you could say, and I'm not trying to use the buzzwords, the 2020 words, but I'm fluid as a fan. So whether it's death matches or WWE style matches, indie style matches, I can have appreciation for all forms, whether it's wrestling or sports entertainment or anywhere in between. I'm just a fan of the sport in general. So, I like NXT 2.0. I can't comment on what NXT was prior to, but I think right now it looks pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's very good. And honestly, that's what I think being a fan, whether you want to say fluid or just a casual fan or whatever the term is, it means you're just a fan of the genre of professional wrestling. And that's, I think, ultimately the best way to enjoy wrestling. I would say, I don't want to label myself as a hardcore fan or that I'm above anybody else. I'm not. I think I look at it differently because I do this show. I look at it with a more critical eye, where maybe you or other fans that are just more casual, that just enjoy it and just turn your mind off and relax or get excited or whatever and enjoy the product for what it is. You probably enjoy the product more than I do because I look for things that maybe annoy me or I can talk about on my show or like whatever. So perhaps you guys are better off than I am, stressing myself out sometimes watching the show and looking for holes in logic and maybe going overboard on certain things. So yeah, perhaps maybe I should adopt your guys' philosophy of just trying to enjoy wrestling for what it is, right?
I just wish, I'm gonna be honest, I hate being a smart fan, and we can all say that we're all smart fans, and when you know the other side of the business, whether you know in depthly or you just know from the outside looking in, it can mess up your wrestling experience. It sucks knowing who's most likely going to win and lose matches. And, I blame wrestling. I mean, wrestling should be a little bit more unpredictable. And I feel like the wrestling is getting very predictable. I mean, you can look at the time of year and say, oh, it's time for the champion to drop the belt. And 9 times 10, you're right. I looked at, before Big E cashed in, I said, oh, Big E's he's going to cash in on Bobby. He's going to take the belt from him. Bobby's been champ a while. And they're not going to let him cash in on Roman. It sucks knowing Finn Balor's going to lose. You knew that. Kevin Owens going to lose to Roman. You knew that. John Cena's going to lose to Roman. I knew that. I don't know about the rest of the fans. Speaking of, I'm going to take a little moment. Let me give a shout out to my little brother, Chucky. He's a huge John Cena fan. And I told him about the podcast, and he's looking forward to calling me in on the mailbag show this week. So, but I told him Roman Reigns was going to beat John Cena, and he looked at me and said, "You don't think nobody can beat Roman?" I said, "I'll let you know when I find somebody I think can beat Roman." But I hate that side of knowing. Yeah. I wish this was more unpredictable.
There is that sense of once the curtain's been pulled back so far that you see the inner workings of it, the patterns. Like you said, you flip the calendar to a certain month and you're like, yep, it's about time. And then things end up happening. Predictability can kill the experience because you look for the unpredictable part it's like adrenaline rush. Like you want that excitement. And when something's happening, it does take that element of surprise away. Now, some people are willing to sacrifice that surprise for logic and for things that make sense and for programs that make logical sense to progress and evolve. But there are others. And again, this is why I'm just saying there's two schools of thought like yourself who really missed the days when you believed that the product was unpredictable. It's kind of like believing Santa Claus, right? Like I miss those days. Like I wish I still did. I wish I did. I wish I really do, because it's like magic. Like it's that magical time. And with professional wrestling, it's kind of the same way, where I really wish there was a time when I believed when I was first watching, and there was that blurred line of, wait, are they actually fighting? Like, wow, this looks brutal. Like, it's been so far removed, especially with social media, that has absolutely killed kayfabe. And that WWE has become so much more micromanaged on every level. You know how the show is going to open. You know almost what they're going to say when they open. The announcers say the same things on both shows. Everything feels the same. And there are times they surprise us, no doubt. But it's more often than not, you see things coming. And that's not always a bad thing if you like logical flow for programs. But if you like the spontaneity, it has certainly been minimized over the last, 10, 15 years.
Yes, I mean, like I said, just Jeff Hardy hitting the swanton on Damian Priest for that 3 seconds. They worked me. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they did. I agree. Yep.
And what we knew was going to happen ended up happening. But, I mean, it is about the ride. It was a good ride. For that split second, you thought Jeff Hardy had it. And he didn't. So, hey, we're going to keep watching, though.
Yeah, no. We can sit here all day and say, oh, it's predictable, or what, but we're fans forever. That's just the way it goes. And that's fine. Like, once wrestling gets in your blood, it's almost impossible to extract it. That's just being a wrestling fan. All right. So I know you had a question or two for me, so I guess at this time you can go ahead and shoot.
All right. So for all the fans at home, me and Matt are going to do something fun. And you can play along at home. You can write into the mailbag show and tell us what you think, or call in. We're going to try to predict. So get your prediction hat on. Who will be your next Universal Champion? Who will be your next WWE Champion? Who will be your next Raw Women's Champion? And who will be your next SmackDown Women's Champion? So we can go back and forth. You want me to go first? I'll go first. If you want to go first, you can go first.
Well, so you start, and then I'll do the next belt first, and then so on. So you'll go first. First, how about that?
Sounds good. So I'll start with the WWE Championship. So current champions, Big E. So my prediction: the next WWE champion will be Seth freaking Rollins. It's about that time. We need to get it on a heel champion. Once again, looking at the calendar. Round Royal Rumble, a little bit after, it'll be time for a heel champion. And who better than Seth freaking Rollins?
Ooh. Yeah. The thing is, I'm looking at the roster, and I'm trying to find something that I could disagree with you on that, because right now the biggest names that were drafted that are heels. Again, it's got to be a heel to take it off of Big E, presumably. Seth Rollins is probably the standout, no doubt. I mean, he is head and shoulders above everyone else that's on the show. That said, I think you can make an argument for AJ Styles if he gets into a singles role, which we all think at some point he will, and I hope does have at least one more run in him before he calls it a career. I think it's owed to him, and I think why not? AJ Styles is one of the best in-ring performers of all time. AJ Styles is a really good heel, and to take it off of Big E, I'm going to go with AJ Styles because I want to have a different opinion. While Seth Rollins is absolutely the standout and more likely, I'm going to go with AJ Styles.
I like that. That's a great answer. AJ, we all want to see AJ get one more. And, what's the old saying? He's not here for a long time. He's here for a good time. So give us one more good run. I like that. So you want to take the Universal belt?
This one's so hard. This one's really difficult because I have to look at this roster and think to myself, okay, there's free agents floating out there. You've got Brock Lesnar, and he's challenging Roman Reigns not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. You've got The Rock floating out there on a potential return near Survivor Series leading to a WrestleMania match. You've got potentially big trades. People aren't even considering the fact that you could have massive trades between Raw and SmackDown. That's not in the cards, but I think it's a possibility. When I look at the current roster, I mean, as it stands now, there is nobody on the current SmackDown roster, the one that's debuting in a couple of weeks. There's nobody, I think, on this particular show outside of Drew McIntyre that has a potentially the reality of beating Roman Reigns. So, wow. I do believe it will. This is not interesting, but I do believe it will be Drew McIntyre. That's with the assumption that The Rock does not come back to face Roman at WrestleMania. That's with the assumption that it's going to be Drew versus Roman at WrestleMania. However, I've also heard of Brock versus Roman at WrestleMania with something happening at Crown Jewel that leads to all the way to WrestleMania. So we've got McIntyre, The Rock, and Brock Lesnar as the three, I think, most realistic. I'm going to go with Drew. I know it's not interesting, but outside of that, there's really nobody on the roster that would be realistic to me.
All right, so you took my pick. I was going to say...
Sorry.
So what I'm going to do some real out-the-box thinking, because you're right, it could be trades. And also, nobody said it was going to be this year or next year. So here go my prediction. I'm calling my shot. 2023, Roman Reigns, WrestleMania, LA, drops the title to Omos.
Whoa. Wow. Yeah.
New star. Somebody dominant. Almost can become face by the end, assuming Roman stays heel. We'll be deadly tired. Well, most fans will be deadly tired of Roman being champion that long. Longest reign in a very long time. And I think Roman Reigns is the person that should do it. He passed the torch to Omos. There it is.
That's wow. Now again, like you said, that's 2023. So that's a year and a half away between now and WrestleMania in LA for WrestleMania 39. And wow, I'm not going to disagree with you. It's really hard to project out that far because we have no idea what Omos could or could not be. Maybe Vince grows bored of him. Maybe he Braun Strowmans him in futures endeavors him. And we don't know. Vince McMahon is really unpredictable at times. So I like it. I think that visual could be awesome with almost just staring down at Roman and Roman staring up at him. And like I said, at that point, my God, he's going on a 1,000-day run as WWE champion, or rather Universal champion. So Wow. Yeah, that's I like that. I like that a lot. And I just don't the thing is I don't know if WWE has the patience for a Roman Reigns run that long. Do you think that they, regardless of who his opponent is, do you think they would dare go that long?
You know, we had this conversation. I don't know if you remember back in January about us wanting to see Roman in a long title run, and so far, it's going good. The fans are really starting to get organically behind him, which is nice. But what happens when he keeps the belt and that organic support starts to dwindle? When people really start to hate Roman Reigns, when he really starts to get massive heat, when he starts to get the Randy Orton and the MJF type of heat, that's the payday. What they got now is great. What they got now is wonderful. What they got now is unbelievable. But what happens when he gets that massive hate, the hate we haven't seen in years? And I think the best way to get hate is for somebody to be a champion too long. If you give a babyface a champion too long, he starts to get booed. You give a heel the champion too long, people start to panic and start to riot. So I'm here for it. I don't know. You know, it's hard to call WWE because we don't even know if Vince McMahon will be the owner 2 years from now. If he can be alive 2 years from now. So, but hey, if they're willing to sacrifice these characters for Roman Reigns, I don't think they're sacrificing for the next 2 months. I don't think they're sacrificing for the next 8 months. They're sacrificing to make him the greatest wrestler of all time.
It's going to be very interesting when this is all said and done and we look back at this particular run and what it looked like when it started, August of 2020, and where it ended. It's going to be fascinating to look back because we're in it right now. But if they give Roman the belt, have him hold it onto it that long, I think it wouldn't be just heat on the character. I think it could actually be heat on the company. Like, people would be really pissed at WWE. I think it would spill beyond that storyline. Perhaps people start just booing everything throughout the show. I mean, they could spill over into other segments. They got to be careful because there will come a point where, it's heel heat and it's great and people hate it. But there also is a tipping point where people just say, you know, F WWE, I'm going to watch a different product. I know what you'd say, heel heat, but not when they want to watch a different product, you know, because then it affects your ratings. Then it's affecting your bottom line. So do you think, you know, that is a potential danger of going that long?
And I understand that point of, everybody has a shelf life. Every championship does have a shelf life. But our shelf life is shorter because that's what we've been conditioned to. You know, as you know, 30 years ago, champions held belt for years. If you was the champion, you was the champion for a reason. You was better than any other guy in that company, and nobody could take the belt from him. And JBL was hated as champion. He wasn't even champ that long. He was champ a year, and I hated it. That was the longest year ever. I just think it's going to take a little time before Roman gets to that nuclear heat. I think if Roman's champion this time next year, I don't think he's getting nuclear heat yet. I think he would still have fans that's cheering him. I think he would have to be champ for a long time to get nuclear heat. And I think around 2023 WrestleMania will be when everybody be like, okay, he better drop it. So that's my opinion.
And whoever it is, I think it should be somebody that's on the rise. It's got to be, I would hope, a new star, the one that you could believe is the next huge babyface star. Because if they drop it, and again, he could drop it to The Rock, he could drop it to Brock Lesnar over the next 6 months. But what good is that really going to do, considering that those two men are made men? I mean, what is the purpose of that? Those two guys have already made their millions. They're mega stars. What benefit to the company is it to have The Rock or Brock Lesnar hold the belt outside of, it creates a social media buzz. It's trending on Twitter. We're the number one. Who cares about your trends on Twitter? If it doesn't suit you long term, I don't care in the short term what it does. So I just have a feeling that WWE may not be able to help themselves, especially if The Rock comes back, to have him drop the belt to The Rock. The Rock sticks around for a couple of months, only to have him drop it back maybe to Roman Reigns. I'm fearful of that. As much as I want to see The Rock and Roman, because it's a great storyline waiting to happen, but I'm concerned that they would not be able to help themselves.
I would pray to God that they would not put the belt on The Rock. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I love The Rock. Hey, The Rock's a great guy, all that good stuff, but I don't want to see him as champ, and I do not want to see him break what Roman Reigns has built. Just for him to drop it back to Roman a couple months later, and he broke Roman's streak. This, what you have, is magical, and I agree. This is not something you give to somebody that's established. What Roman would be passing the torch. He would be saying, this is the next guy. Not giving it to some washed up wrestler who just wants to be a nostalgic act and woohoo, I'm champion for 2 months. I still got it. No, you don't. You still got Hollywood. So no, I don't want to see him drop it to The Rock. I don't want to see him drop it to Brock either. You know, it would have to be somebody on the rise. And hopefully by then, Omos will be on the rise, where he's ready for a championship run, you know, in-ring style, gets figured out. I want to see him wrestle. I'm ready to see Omos wrestle a real match against a good opponent. And if not Omos, I do agree, somebody on the rise.
And it's going to be hard to decide, or rather this far out, see who in 2023 could be that guy. But yeah, it's fascinating to think about that we may not even be halfway through Roman Reigns' run right now. I mean, people are going to lose it. I mean, if he gets past this year's WrestleMania with the championship, you're going to, I think, start to see it and feel it. And I'm excited for it. Like, I will not be mad. If they want to make Roman Reigns champion for like 2, maybe 3 years, which will never happen. I don't think they'll get past the 2-year mark. I think 2 years is like the absolute max. But starting in WrestleMania this year, you're going to see people like visibly get angry at this. And I can't wait for that. That's going to be it's going to be the first time fans have really felt what heel heat should be, right? Like, we've seen it. Oh, this guy's annoying. And then they just get dropped on their back and everybody goes home happy. WWE, if they can do this and they do it right, and so far they're on track, this is going to be the first taste of true heel heat for a lot of fans that have not understood what heel heat really is. And I can't wait to see what that's like. So
I love it. And real briefly, like I said, we talked about this in January, and people thought we was crazy when I said Roman was going to make it through WrestleMania, make it the next WrestleMania. And I'm pretty sure most fans, at least me, I'm pretty confident he's going to make it to 2022 WrestleMania.
Oh, I think so. Yep.
I don't think that's a question. And I'm sticking with my prediction. I said it in January. We're going to see Roman champion in LA 2023 going strong.
That's so crazy. I hope it happens, because I'm so interested in the reaction. I mean, people are going to be losing their minds, and I can't wait to see it on Twitter, just screaming at WWE. And it's going to be fun to watch if they can do that. Because honestly, right now, there is nobody outside of nostalgia mega star acts coming back. There is nobody on the roster, I think, deserving right now. Again, Drew McIntyre is a realistic possibility, but you got a lot of damage control with him outside of a big trade. I mean, there's really nobody. There's nobody on the roster outside of Drew. So, all right. We've got the next two here. Well, actually, I think you're up first for this one. Let's do the Raw Women's Championship. Let's start with the Raw Women's Championship. Who could be the next one? Now, again, we have to think about this, because Becky, who's a SmackDown Women's Champion, is going to Raw, but we know that there's going to be a trade where Charlotte and Becky are probably seen backstage. They exchange belts, just as they did with the tag belts last year. So, in all intents and purposes, Becky Lynch is really the Raw Women's Champion. So, who do you think could eventually take that from her?
And see, this was a tough one, because honestly, you have a lot of good people to pick from. I mean, Bianca Belair would be obviously a shoe-in, and she will be deserving of it. But also, we can't forget about Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley got a very, very good reception outside of Nikki A.S.X. Lord have mercy. But I'm gonna say Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea Ripley takes it from her. I think she makes it to WrestleMania. That's a match we haven't seen. We haven't seen Becca Rhea. I hate it because you could see Bianca, Becky in at WrestleMania, or we could see a three-way with all three women. But I do think I'm gonna put my money on Rhea. Rhea Ripley. She gets her act together. She's been getting a little momentum going. Not as much as Bianca, but she's been getting a little momentum going. So that's my horse, Rhea Ripley.
Solid pick, I gotta say. And Rhea and Nikki are obviously they're tag team champions right now in a completely uncontested division because they have no other women's tag teams, by the way, none. But you're right, Rhea is definitely a candidate. Bianca's obvious one. Alexa Bliss is another one. I'm gonna just be wacky just because I want to be. I'm gonna go for a long shot, but I think it's plausible. Is that it's Liv Morgan that takes it from Becky Lynch? Because now again, I'd only say this is realistic if we start to see some kind of movement for her that is visible or audible and visible throughout many shows consistently, like kind of a Daniel Bryan movement. Do I think a Daniel Bryan movement's coming for Liv Morgan? No, but that kind of scenario, that the nature of the movement for her needs to be like that for that to happen. But I'm going to go with Liv Morgan taking it from Becky Lynch in a shocking fashion. Fans are losing their minds for Liv Morgan. The announcers are saying this is well deserved. All the years of whatever they want to say, framing it in a very sympathetic way. I know you're completely disagreeing, and I know it's a long shot. I'm recognizing that, but I think it's fun to think about.
I'm actually not disagreeing. I mean, honestly, Liv Morgan was my third pick. I mean, people love her, and I say that all the time. I don't like her, but that's me. I'm just one fan. She gets plenty of love from all the fans. Hey, you can live through Liv. I'm not. I'm with that.
I like that. Yeah, I'll live through Liv. That's I like that. That's exactly what I'm going to do. But I want to move on to the SmackDown Women's Championship. I'll take this one first. I think the person to dethrone Charlotte Flair, most likely, or at least, well, yeah, even most likely, I think Shayna Baszler. Because we've seen Sasha Banks as champion a million times. We've seen it. Naomi, not in a position right now to do that. Not even close, I think. Natalya, sorry, Natalya. There's just Natalya is a respected veteran. She loves cats. We know about her. She puts on good matches. She's an okay promo. That's it. Sorry, Natalya, but it's not happening. Shotzi Blackheart, just an up and coming star, at least from NXT to the main roster. She just was broken up from a tag team. So they got a lot of work to do with her there. Toni Storm, from what I saw this past week, not a good pick because of at least how they are viewing her right now. So, yeah, I know we also have Aaliyah and Xia Li from NXT, but I still believe it's going to be Shayna Baszler. Why? Because she's snapping people's arms right now. They're doing a lot of groundwork for her to challenge Charlotte Flair. Now, thing is, Charlotte and Shayna are both heels. So one of them has to turn babyface. I would think Shayna Baszler still could be babyface in this one. It's not immediate. It's going to be a while, but I'm going with Shayna Baszler.
You took my pick.
Sorry, buddy.
That was blocked. Oh, God. Well, when you take the good one, I'm just going to go with the reliable. It's not been very reliable lately, so I'll say Sasha Banks.
Can't go wrong. Yeah.
You can't. The blueprint. Hey, the boss. Can't go wrong with it. Once again, same problem. They're both heel. I don't think neither one should turn face. So I don't know. Maybe it's a wacky triple threat match. Who knows? But Sasha Banks. I just wish that she wouldn't leave and come so much. It's like as soon as she gets her heat going, it just gets cool back off, and then she comes back out again, good pop, and she gets cool back off. But if she can come back solidly, 100%, keep doing these great matches, I can see Sasha Banks taking it from Charlotte, but Charlotte, I want to say to everybody, I think out of all the champions, she is about as deserving as the championship as Roman Reigns. I mean, I think she is the top of the mountain in the women's division. I think she is the bar. And I think it's women that's close to her, but I think Charlotte exceeds them. And she deserves to be champion. She deserves to be a 12-time champion. And I'm fine with her being champion for the next year and a half. Now, I know people will go crazy about that. People lose their crap, but I do think Charlotte should be champ for the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and again, yeah, I think people would lose their minds over Charlotte Flair before Roman Reigns, like way before. I mean, they've already subjected themselves to that idea that Charlotte should not be champion. We've seen it too many times. Whereas Roman's involved in a storyline that is epic right now. So when I look at the SmackDown women's roster, boy, oh boy, are they missing big babyface women. I mean, like they don't have any. Sasha Banks, heel. Charlotte, heel. Shayna Baszler, heel. You have Natalya. People don't really, sorry Natalya, but people are kind of indifferent. And she flip-flops between heel and babyface. Toni Storm, a mild babyface right now. Shotzi Blackheart, mild babyface. You know, B-Fab, Xia and Aaliyah, people don't know much about those individuals if you don't watch NXT. So to most fans, probably like 75% of the audience that are watching and in the crowd don't know who you are. Therefore, it's going to be quiet to begin with. So SmackDown, unbelievably, does have a big babyface problem when it comes to the women. So somebody's going to have to turn or do a big trade.
Yes, I mean, but the roster itself for SmackDown is just small with women. The roster is so small.
Yeah.
And most are heel or unknown. So, yeah, I mean, once again, but fans will be mad that Charlotte Flair will be carrying the division. Fans will be mad at her and not just acknowledge, like, well, who deserves to take it from her? Nobody.
Yeah, nobody. There really isn't, which is why I think we could see a long, as Charlotte Flair would say, long reign or long live the queen, which I think is going to be the case here because Charlotte does not have an equal on SmackDown outside of Sasha. Again, heel, Shayna, heel. So they're going to have to turn somebody or bring somebody up or debut somebody that we're not expecting or whatever. But Charlotte Flair could be champion for at least through the end of this calendar year, probably up until Rumble minimum. I mean, or longer. You and I would go longer, but we'll see. So, anything else before we close things out there?
Well, I'll give a couple shout outs if you don't mind.
Yeah, shoot.
Oh, we got a shout out to Randy the Patron. Randy the Patron, you keep calling in, you keep emailing, you keep up the good work, sir. Casual Wrestling Fan approves. We might have to add him to the Casual Wrestling Fan team. Shout out to Cal from New York. Shout out to Cal from Baltimore. What's our resident heel guy name? Owen.
Owen, yeah.
Hey, I love heel, sir. You one of my favorites, man. Keep calling in, keep healing out. Hey, you're gonna turn the Casual Wrestling Fan a true heel. I love it. What's the Crisis guy? The Crisis.
Yeah.
See, I'm not gonna start no WWE match with nobody, but Crisis, me and you, we got an issue. We're gonna talk about that one day. We're gonna talk about that. But yeah, I love coming on. You know, it's fun to have fun talking about wrestling for hours. I hate that we talk for hours. It's a lot to listen to. You know, wake up if you went to sleep so you can get back to work.
Yeah, no, people will tell you. I'm sure we've been told many times we are like the Bob Ross of wrestling. So
yes, I love it. But you know, thank you for having me on. I love coming on to the show. Look forward to taking over the mailbag show in a couple weeks. And, you know, anytime you want me on here, Matt, it seems like I'm on here about once a quarter. So I guess
we're going to have to up that. But by popular demand, especially, you know, the feedback we got with Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan herself, anytime you guys want to do that, by all means, you know, let me know. You guys are just as great to have on. And I'm sure we will be back together shortly. We can't, once a quarter is not acceptable. So definitely.
Sounds good. But you just keep up the good work, you know, take care of your family with the extra baby and trying to deal with us crazy fans every week. I know it's got to be crazy for you.
zombie mode and like autopilot. That's kind of where I'm at, right? Like some I don't know how I function most days, but hey, we're here out of a passion and a love for pro wrestling. So I guess there's only one thing left to say, and that's acknowledge me, right? Is that's how I feel like you would, because that's how you start most of your emails. So
yes, Roman Reigns, and that hurt me so bad. Roman went to Nashville. I want him to say, "Nashville, acknowledge me."
He didn't, right? He didn't.
No, well, he wasn't at Raw.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But one quick question before I get out of here: The Miz or Hulk Hogan?
The Miz or Hulk Hogan? You mean?
Yeah, who you gonna take?
On a roster, like in a match? Like what do you mean? Like
the match, dude.
In a match? Oh, I mean, I'm going with the Hulkster. Are you kidding?
Oh God, no!
Yeah, the hell, the Miz. What are we doing? The Hulkster.
He's like, it's not even close.
It's not even like I cannot keep a straight face with that question. I'm sorry. Like the Miz and Hulk Hogan, like, oh, I mean, Terry Bollea is, not a great human being, but in terms of just pro wrestling, oh God, no.
I should have said Goldberg. Oh God.
Oh well, no, don't no. I can't be put in that position. That's unfair.
I normally say Hogan or Miz, and people are like, oh, that's a hard one.
A hard one. Oh my gosh. No, that's not even. I don't think I used 2 brain cells for that. At least for me, I didn't. But anyway, I do have some Miz fans out there. I know there are actually some Miz fans who are probably yelling and screaming right now. But sorry, guys. Hulk Hogan, regardless of his just completely inept moveset and lackluster, at least return to WWE and all of his issues. Sorry, guys. I'm going with the Hulkster. Sorry.
Bruce Springsteen said, "Trust the art, not the artist."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, all right, buddy. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll definitely be reuniting soon, and I'm sure for the mailbag that'll be sooner than later as well.
Sounds good. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.
All righty. Talk to you later, man.